Gaming news today is all about the unexpected. First, Borderlands 4 Endgame details sound very promising. It seems that my prediction about this game is potentially going to come true, that this will end up being the best Borderlands to date. But second, another thing coming out about this game is that Borderlands performance on PC is coming under fire. Reviews from an event are indicated that the game was hitting a 60 to 70 FPS. It was a solid rig, but there was a catch as to how they were hitting that, and Randy Pitchford's remarks are unsurprisingly causing a bit of a stir. Third, new details are emerging about the PlayStation 6 that it's going to have something in common with the newest version of the PS5. So we'll get into those details. There will be timestamps below when I go through those segments. So if you're watching this later, if the timestamps aren't there, leave me a friendly reminder in the comment section. You guys on Twitch, I am sorry. OBS crashed and was like not responding. That's never happened before. I'm not really sure what the cause was. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we have no issues today while I'm streaming. It might have been something to do with the plugin when I ended the YouTube stream and kept the Twitch stream going. Maybe that's what caused it. But if you're in the audience right now or watching later, it does help me when you hit that like button. So consider pressing the like button. That does help out the video. And there have been ongoing problems on the YouTube platform. We're not making content about it. We're not really talking about it. I'm just acknowledging it. So if you have had issues finding my videos or my live streams, make sure notifications are set to all. And when things like this happen, one of the best ways to support what I do full-time is to consider doing a membership. So click join, pick member plus. You'll get into all those extra segments like morning coffee, green room, and streams with my wife. I greatly appreciate that. That is how I do this full-time. So the discussion about Borderlands has been an interesting one. So I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Since they first debuted gameplay, I have been very excited about this game. Okay? I have been very excited and have felt like, okay, they clearly are setting their sights on this being the best Borderlands they've ever made. Like, to me, and I said this, I was like, it looked an awful lot like Destiny. I've made content about that. I've made observations about that. And the interest from you guys has been very tepid. And it seems as though people are kind of commonly saying that one of the main reasons for that has been They don't really trust Gearbox. They don't trust in the franchise. Borderlands 3 really burned them. The pre-sequel was probably the first time people were pretty disappointed with Borderlands, but then Borderlands 3 really frustrated people and was pretty disappointing. And then I was kind of surprised about this. I thought in general people had good feelings about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And no. I watched a couple videos this morning, and people really just felt like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was not a good Borderlands, which kind of surprised me. Now, interestingly enough, I false started with Tiny Tina Wonderlands multiple times. I started it on stream with you guys. I started it with Hilly, and then I started playing it with Madam. And I just never got very far. We never really did much with it, and so I didn't realize, maybe it wasn't that great. Maybe that's probably why I false started. I remember enjoying the little that I played, but I also just attributed some of it to maybe I was burned out on looters. Maybe I just didn't want to play, looter shooters. Maybe I didn't want to play Borderlands anymore. So I am very much looking forward to Borderlands 4, but it does seem like a lot of people in this community especially are just like, no. They're very, lukewarm. They're very tepid to it, and it does seem to be related to the last couple of releases where people just don't know if they can trust Gearbox, to build a good Borderlands, which I completely respect, And I've got a lot of information about the Endgame. I watched a couple of different videos where all the details are kind of starting to come out. I've also got some details on the performance issues and things that have been going on, just to kind of look at, why I feel like this is very unexpected. I feel like they've put a lot of thought into this. I feel like there's a lot to this. But hopefully the PC performance issues are quickly resolved. I'd have to disagree with their opinion. I really liked Wonderland's fantasy premise versus Borderlands 3. Hilly says, I didn't like Tina. Oh, you didn't like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I didn't play Borderlands 3, says Legend Status, mainly because I was still maining Destiny. Now I'm done with Destiny. Borderlands 4 has definitely convinced me to give it a shot. I was watching footage of Borderlands 3, and I watched a video on it this morning. And the guy made some pretty good points. He talked about how he really felt that the combat and the feel of Borderlands 3 was actually quite good. Like they did a good job with it. He seemed to take issue with the fact that like everything after that just didn't, just wasn't good, which I tended to agree with. I did remember playing through some of those early areas, and I really felt like, man, the combat and the gunplay did feel very, very good in Borderlands 3. It was just everything after that. Like the story just wasn't any good. The stuff they did with the loot table wasn't that impressive. D's Nuts is going to hit a 5-month renewal over here on Purple, and we're going to bump the line to 49. We're a little behind pace for the week, and Friday night will be a Borderlands stream with Madam. I'll set up the multi-perspective and all that if you guys manage to hit the goal for Friday night. My biggest gripe is the flow of the game and the mission to mission, for sure. Zubair says, it's got a lot of noise around it. If I didn't get a copy with my recent hardware purchase, I was planning on waiting to see how it was received. Lone Wolf says, combat and the gunplay was the best in the series in Borderlands 3. And Stone Spire's going to gift a member and hit us right on the goal of 50, putting us exactly 50 away from the next milestone. We will see if anybody decides to take the bait. That's a big one. We haven't seen a 50 bomb yet this week, and we'll see if somebody wants to catch us all the way back up, and whoever does it, I will owe your platform a single. I do owe a single now to YouTube. 3 gets so much hate because of the writing and the tone. The frequency of legendary drops hurt it also. 3 has the best gameplay, world, and DLC overall. Blind Darkness, thanks so much for 4 months, and thanks for renewing your Prime. Guys, make sure you guys are checking your Primes over there. If you're paying for Amazon Prime, you got to manually do that every month, but it does support me. It's just included in your Prime. And a VIP from Eugene. Trap for 4 years on YouTube. Thank you so much, Eugene, for hitting 4 years of support over here. We are actually in the month. I don't know if you guys realize this or not. September is the month where we started streaming on this Reforge Gaming channel, and it has been 4 years. So a lot of you guys are hitting your 4-year badges, which is insane. They switched it back sometime this week, Eugene. I think they're rolling back some of the changes because they did a bunch of stuff that broke the website. Like, if you turn restricted mode on, you can, like, look at your channel and you can see how many of your videos aren't visible. I can literally schedule a stream. I haven't spoken a word yet, and the video is restricted. It doesn't make any sense. The platform's it's just in complete disarray. We're hoping that they're starting to fix some of the issues, because the name thing alone was frustrating as a live streamer. Like, everybody's names were wrong. With optimization always being an issue these days, I have to wait and see how performance is before I buy. 130 is a lot of dough. Yeah, I mean, if you're a big Borderlands fan and you're considering buying, like, the Big Daddy, you're trying to buy, like, the best edition, the biggest edition, whatever, it's completely legitimate to wait, given what we're hearing. So, like, Eric's Gaming did a video about their time with the game, and they had pretty good rigs. And the only way they were hitting 60 to 70 FPS was with frame gen. Without frame gen, it was in the 30s and 40s. And I was like, man, it's going to be Black Myth Wukong all over again. Now, I don't know if frame gen being used to get to 60 and 70 frames is going to cause the same issues and the same feel that I had when I was playing Black Myth. Because a shooter is quite a bit different than a game like Black Myth Wukong. Like Black Myth Wukong, I need the iframes, I need my swings, I need my attacks, I need all of that to happen, like, right on time. They were doing 4K Ultra. See, yeah, he didn't say in his video what the settings and the resolution were set to, Omar, so I wasn't really sure. Like, he just launched into performance, and he was like, yeah, 60 to 70 with frame gen. That was in 4K Ultra. Does he say that earlier in the video and I just completely missed it? Because I watched that performance section multiple times, and I was like, he never said the resolution and the graphical settings. He just said they were getting 60 to 70, but they needed frame gen to be on. Guys, make sure you're hitting the like button. Try and get us to our first 100 likes on the day. Borderlands 3 ran fine on a Series X. I had no problems at launch. Was it pretty good rigs? The minimum's 2070, which is pretty good 7-8 years ago. They were on like 4080s. They were not on like low-level rigs. Now, the one guy who wrote for Destructoid, it ended up coming out that he was having problems with his PC. His power supply failed on him, and he updated his article. Most of his big problems in Borderlands went away when he replaced the power supply, which is interesting because it's like, man, if you're going to make that kind of an article, you would think you would try it on a couple other rigs just to see if the problems are universal. Because it's like, you know, usually when you go to an outlet that's reviewing something on PC, they'll say, we're having pretty significant issues across our multiple PCs. That's an awkward way to have problems. Yeah, I mean, thankfully he at least updated the article and tweeted about it, but it was like, it made headlines that like the game was running very, very poorly. Now, Eric's does say in his video that the frame gen and the frame rate wasn't really the issue. The issue was stutters and hitches, which again, was that because they were running things in 4K Ultra. It was on 1440 medium. Wait, so we're getting conflicting information. He said 1440 in the comment section. In the comment section of the Eric's video, or are you talking about this Destructoid thing? Because I watched the performance section of Eric's video, and I was like, I don't feel, unless I completely missed it, he never says what the game is running at. He just talks about the frame rate and the frame gen. He said 1440 in the comment section, not 4K. Okay, let me pull the video up and see if we've got this in the comment section. Let's see here. Let's see. So I go to my view history, and I go to Eric's video. Video is unavailable with restricted mode enabled. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I was testing restricted mode. Okay, here, yeah. Here we go. So he replied to his own video, and he says, we played on 1440 medium, 4080, an i7 11700 KF CPU below recommended specs, 32 GB RAM. Okay, so the CPU is below recommended specs, he's saying. Frame gen is a tricky one, but with it on, it stayed well above 60, and unlike some games, it actually felt smooth and responsive here. Normally, we're cautious with frame gen since it can sometimes feel like off or add latency, but we didn't notice those issues here, and combat felt snappy. For instance, frame gen Monster Hunter Wilds felt terrible with latency, while frame gen here, weirdly enough, made me feel better and didn't have those issues. We'll be testing more as we get closer to release. I mean, I guess that's at least encouraging that it didn't feel bad. You know, it didn't feel bad like it did. Like Black Myth Wukong felt terrible with frame gen on console. I felt like it was just a constant input delay. It was like I wasn't doing anything half the time. It was like, did I hit the button or not? You know what I mean? It's open world, CPU matters. Yeah, this is going to be the first more like open world Borderlands. Guys, as you're tuning in for the discussion about Borderlands 4 Endgame, make sure and hit the like button. We're also discussing Borderlands 4 performance. We know that, I mean, this week we'll be diving into Borderlands 4 gameplay, and the current feedback on it is that it can be pretty, you know, taxing on a PC. So we're going to look at what some of the claims are being made. People aren't too happy about what Randy said. I kind of felt like he didn't do what most people would do, which is give some weird PR answer. He was honest about, yeah, if you've got an older rig, you're not going to be able to run this game very well. The 4080 is bottlenecked. Yeah, like if he's playing on a 4080 and you've got it bottlenecked at the CPU, we've talked about this before with games that are CPU intensive. Not that I know that Borderlands 4 is CPU intensive, but we've talked about how that can have an immediate effect on your results, you know? They're called min specs for a reason. You don't meet them. What do you think is going to happen? Imagine that old hardware struggles with modern game. Color me shocked. Well, there's an interesting conversation going on right now in the wake of Tim Sweeney over there at Epic saying that a lot of the times, optimization happens late, and that's a frustration point, or whatever. I don't think Pitchford, I don't like Pitchford, but one thing he does that no one recognizes is being honest. He also said the Switch 2 would be more or less 30, which I verified at Gamescom. Right, and I think that's something that I've tried to point out is like, I'm not the biggest fan of Randy Pitchford. I feel like he has a penchant and a palate for tasting his own foot, He loves to put his foot in his mouth. But a lot of the times when he's putting his foot in his mouth, he's just being honest. Like, he's not trying to put on airs. He's not trying to do the cliche PR thing that we get a lot of the times. Like, when people are like, well, that wasn't very good PR. I'm like, so you want PR as a gamer? Like, is that what you want him to do? You want him to say PR-friendly phrases so that you feel better? Or do you want him to just to tell you, like, no, yeah, this probably isn't going to run very well on older rigs or rigs below min spec? That to me, I prefer that. I'd prefer somebody just shoot straight with me. Be like, yeah, the whole pricing thing. I find it very strange that at a time where a lot of people really drive home this notion that, we should be tough and we should be, we shouldn't be so sensitive. Man, people seem awfully sensitive if a CEO says something. Like, they bristle, like a Karen at a deli. It's like, what are you doing? Like, who cares if he said that? Real fans will find a way, or whatever he said about the pricing thing. I'm like, well, that was dumb to say, but why are people getting so, I don't know, it's so sensitive about these issues? Like, he's just a CEO. He's just some blowhard. He just says stuff. That's just what he does. Like, why are you getting so upset? You know what I mean? Like, I understand if the game would have been 80, speaking with your wallet, and speaking with your voice and saying, I'm not going to buy the game for 80. I think that's completely legitimate. Being upset that he said what he said just felt like overly sensitive, overly reactionary. Why prioritize graphics over optimization, limiting your sales? I don't feel like they've really pushed graphics in this. It does look very pretty, but I don't feel like they're going crazy. I mean, based on what I've seen, it doesn't look like it's that insane. It looks pretty basic to me. Like, not basic, I mean, it looks pretty, but it doesn't look like they went crazy. People want to be lied to until release date when they say, we know about all the issues, a patch is coming. Right. Randy's the same guy that loves toxic positivity. Oh, I will 100% admit that the way he handled the movie and how he was like blocking people and not listening to criticism, I thought the way he handled that was terrible, especially given that we knew the game was coming. Like, that was not the same as basically arguing with people over their feedback and then blocking them. That is obviously not what I'm talking about. That's not just shooting straight. That's being like a, I don't even know what to call that. I guess being like a baby. It's like, you can't take the feedback, then don't be on the internet asking for the feedback. You know what I mean? If I went out here and said, as I do in Green Room often, I'm like, give me feedback on the show, give me feedback on the format and the content, and let me know what you guys think. And you guys have been very critical over the years, and I've tried to make adjustments. Like, we're trying to, lean away from constantly being in a debate and constantly being in an argument. We're leaning away from that because you guys, you guys said that you didn't like it. And I instead of getting defensive and being like, well, no, I like to do that. Like, I do like to argue. I do like to debate. I tried to internalize the feedback. And I think sometimes people, conflate insult with criticism. Like, they'll come in and insult me and they think that that's criticism. Like, I accept criticism from people I have rapport with and that I trust, and they're going to give it to me in a constructive way, not somebody's just going to come in and be mean. So I will say that the way he handled the movie, the way he handled the feedback on the movie was pretty poor. The way he's handled Borderlands 4, I've paid attention to Borderlands and Gearbox and Randy Pitchford for a very long time. And I will say that I feel the way he's talking about this game, it's the most genuine I think I've ever seen him be. I think he's genuinely excited. I don't think he's like blowing smoke. I don't think he's like, trying to convince people of something or, trying to trick people. So if he's going to be, a little brutally honest in what he says about the performance of the game on PC or something, I would say that's far better than to just be like, oh, it'll be fine, you guys could tweak some settings, we've worked really hard to ensure the maximum number of people can play the game and blah, blah, blah. If he was doing that, I think that's more cause for concern because it feels like you're getting BS. It feels like you're getting talked to, talked over, like they're not really giving you an answer. That's a good question. Will DLSS upscale really well or really poorly with Borderlands 4's art style? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Notice the only time we saw the game on console was the state of play. Borderlands 4 was running 30 FPS on a PS5 Pro. I don't think it's going to struggle on the consoles. The last couple times Unreal games have come out and have had major issues, it's PC gets the short end of the stick. I don't know. If it runs poorly on consoles, that'll be devastating because I feel like at that point no one can save you. Jedi Survivor was passable on console and sold really well, but it did terribly on PC. It did terribly, and it had a bad score, deservedly so. So, if you can't run well anywhere, that's bad. I mean, that's going to really, really hurt your experience. Yeah, Black Myth was the other direction. That is true. Black Myth ran fine on PC and had more issues on console. That was something the developers specifically struggle with. I don't feel like historically Gearbox has displayed a difficulty with getting their games to run well on console. From Borderlands 1 all the way to 3 to Tiny Tina, I feel like the game has consistently been reliable and has run well on consoles. Yo, what's good? The Menace was 17 months over here on Purple. I greatly appreciate it. And that is going to bump the line by 1. We're quite a bit behind on pace. We needed to come into today at 100 if you guys want to unlock that Friday night. We do have a stretch goal this week as well. If you want to unlock a Saturday stream with Madam, I will do that. We'll play a bunch of Borderlands with you guys. Make sure you're hitting the like button as well. They confirmed that 60 FPS will be available on the PS5. I cannot imagine the PS5 or the Series X struggling to run Borderlands 4. I've not seen anything that would give me pause. Now, obviously, if they have a quality mode where they let you turn on lighting and reflections and stuff, sure. I could see people saying, hey, it doesn't run all that well or the frame rate goes down or whatever. But I cannot imagine Borderlands 4 struggling on either of the rigs. I'm sorry, not either of the consoles, I'm sorry. The last games have run well on console. Yeah, that would be very, very bizarre. Borderlands 3 was 30 FPS on the base PS4. Yeah, and that was a long time ago. A lot of games, most games ran at 30 FPS on the base PS4. I mean, Destiny 2 did. That's why I switched to PC on Destiny 2 back in the day. How is that running well? You're talking about a console that at this point, when was that? 8 years ago, and was known for most of the games being 30 FPS. BL3 struggled on PS4, constant frame drops. So, again, you're talking about a system that was known for that. Destiny 2 didn't have the greatest frame rate either. There were launch titles, there were first-party titles for the PS4 that launched at 30 FPS, whether it was Spider-Man or God of War 2018. 30 FPS back then was pretty much par for the course. That was basically what every game ran at. The Fortnite, now they got Fortnite to 60 later, but when Fortnite first came out, it was 30 FPS on the console. That's why I switched to PC back then. In 2017 to 2018, I switched to PC for Destiny and Fortnite, and pretty much every game after that. I played Borderlands 3 on PC for that reason. I didn't want to deal with 30 FPS. I remember I got a second rig, I got a second computer, so that Madam would be able to play Borderlands 3 with me when we would stream it, and we would both get good performance. Guys, thanks so much for the strong turnout today. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Try and get us to 200 likes before we're at that 30-minute mark. That would be incredible. YouTube's been acting funny, but we have been here. We've been here every day that we normally are. We've been doing uploads and live shows. So make sure that your notifications are set to all. Make sure you're in the Discord so that you don't miss out on content whenever you're hanging out and wanting to watch the shows. Thank you for the $2 super chat. You look like a PS4. I don't think I've ever been told that before. Dad of Dads with 39 months in a Prime. Thank you so much. And that gets us to 54. I appreciate that so much. Dad of dads. Thank you guys for making sure to use your primes every single month over there on Purple. How do I upgrade my membership? There is an upgrade command. Type !upgrade. And I try not to harp on this. We've been trying to get the that to go up for years now. I would love to be at 600 people. That's our next milestone of 600 people at Member Plus and above. So if you're on a gifted membership, consider upgrading. That's a huge need that we have right now, especially when YouTube acts insane. We can have our own reliable base that, you know, kind of keeps things going. Nightbot's asleep at the wheel. No, there it goes. And there it is, a single gifted from Stonespire. I know what he's doing. He's trying to tempt the first 20 bomb of the day. Our next milestone where I owe you guys a member is 75. We'll see if anybody can drop the 20 bomb. Joker Quinn is usually lurking in the shadows. Lurking in the shadows. He likes to ruin Stonespire's setups now. So you guys have got to help out with that. Somebody drop the 20 bomb before freaking Joker Quinn ruins it. He's leaking in the shadows. You reckon that bloke with the PSU review is paid off by them? No. And there Joker Quinn is. That's why he changed his avatar. He's so ornery. That makes the 20 bomb an agent of chaos. So, and a 20 bomb comes in. No, a 25 bomb comes in from Alex over here on Team Purple. So Twitch is going to nail it, but they're also going to send us past and get us to 81. That means we're a 20 away from the next milestone. He's trying to create a leapfrog effect. Thank you so much, Alex. And he does get a hype train going. Let me gift in return. I'll help out the hype train over here. What PS model is it about? Okay, so there was a guy at Destructoid that wrote an article and was having some pretty significant performance issues in Borderlands 4 on his PC. Okay, he since updated the article and his PSU failed. His power supply failed. And once he replaced that, all of his major issues went away. So there are some stuttering issues, there are some hitching issues in the game, but by and large, his major issues went away when he got a new power supply. So, anyone in chat ever game with someone they met in the Reforge chat? People in here game together all the time in our Discord. That's another great reason to become a member. I can confirm the reason for bad performance for Borderlands 4. Borderlands 4 runs in Unreal 5. I mean, plenty of games run in Unreal 5 and RTF. And a 5 bomb comes in from Wire Rope, and he's going to keep the hype train going. We might, I don't know, if you guys could get some support over here today from some of the other big member bomb droppers, maybe you guys could get that hype train record. We're already halfway to the record at level 7. Thank you so much, Wire Rope. And we're now 14 away from the next milestone. Thank you very much. I game with Lono. Yeah, Zubair's played with me in Helldivers. I was just like on my couch and he like hopped in my game. So, let me pause this. I'm so sorry. If you guys are getting hit with those annoying things on YouTube, I just paused them. Sorry about that. Got my new ISP connection to finally work. I now have 1,000 meg. Ooh, nice. Yo, what's good, Mike on the mic? I see you lurking. I totally agree. It's better to have high requirements. It's better if the high requirements are better of features and eye candy rather than lack of optimization. You can have the most powerful GPU, but if your PSU isn't capable of properly powering it, it will indeed not matter and gives you performance issues. This is why I think it's important, anytime you're going to be talking about a game's PC performance, that you're going to an outlet where it's been tested on multiple, rigs. Because one rig could have been having an issue. One rig, could have some type of a bottleneck. I mean, the guy, Eric's Gaming and the guys over there that were saying they were having some issues, they had a bit of a bottleneck on the CPU. Reforge is scared to drink bourbon with me? No, I'm not. No, that's ridiculous. I was devastated. You should have listen, I'm going to say it. You should have left your wife at home. We should have went to the Derby. Just the boys. That's what we should have done. Anyways, have me out. Have me out sometime. I ain't scared to drink bourbon. You're talking to a bourbon lover right here. Are you kidding me? Anyways. Guys, take a quick second and make sure check the like button. Check that little up, that thumbs up. Check it. Make sure we're at 200. I forgot to tell you, Detective Seeds got a review copy of Borderlands 4. I asked him how it ran on the Pro. He said very good performance, no issues. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't. Okay, I didn't know what I was going to be reading there. Yeah, that you don't want to be doing that if there's an NDA or something. I've noticed some PC reviews of games that mention performance. The person never mentions the rig that they play the game on. Half the time, it's not a strong rig. Clevelando with 12 months of membership says 1 year hype. We were hyping up the PS5 Pro this time last year, and that gets us to 87. Thank you so much. YouTube, you are slipping behind here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys should have 5 in the contest today. It's 5-34. YouTube, it's time to activate. Got to catch up with Twitch over there. You have an extra couch to sleep on? Because I'll need it if I leave her at home. Yeah, I mean, I have a couch, but I don't know. Yeah. Joker Quinn leaking in the dark. There you go. I'm not concerned about PS5 Pro performance as Joker Quinn. Even if there's a 30 FPS mode, they'll do a performance mode. If every reviewer uses a powerful rig, that is bad. I'd prefer reviews across the spectrum. I kind of agree with what Zubair is saying. I don't want necessarily somebody to give me a PC review on a potato, but if they've got like a more mid-level rig, I think that's going to be helpful to the more, the more common player. The more common PC person isn't going to have a front-of-the-wave, top-of-the-line, all the new stuff rig. Like, that's not the case most of the times. Like, the average person is not going to be in a position to have all of the latest and greatest. Wait, what? Oh, you got to be kidding me. Sorry, I got an RSVP. No. Oh, that is not good. What's the local press saying down there? About what? I feel like every review I watch, the reviewer has at least a 40 series GPU, says Mediocre Milton. If the issues are induced by the hardware and not by the game, it's unfair to the game. Well, this does sound like there are some issues with Borderlands. It does. If you guys are watching on Purple and want to help with the hype train, check your primes, check your renewals, do some gifted. You got 20 seconds and the hype train ends. Alex says, my PC is a 4070 Ti Super. My laptop is a 4060, so not bleeding edge by any means, but not a potato. So I'm curious how they fare. Well, I mean, we could pull it up and I can show you guys here. Let's see. Borderlands 4 on Steam. So I watched a video about it this morning, and one of the issues. Oh, it ended? That did not feel like 20 seconds. Okay, it ended. I watched a video about this morning, and it didn't seem like I don't know if this is absurd or not. You guys will have to tell me, obviously. So they're saying minimum requirements: NVIDIA GeForce 2070, a Radeon RX 5700 XT. Okay, processor they're saying i7 9700 or a Ryzen 7 2700X. Okay, now they're recommending RTX 3080 and an RX 6800 XT. They're recommending an Intel i7 12700 and a Ryzen 7 5800X. So that, the recommended, again, I'm not in this world. This doesn't sound insane to me. I don't think so. They are recommending 32 gig, and they're saying minimum requirement is 16 gig. So, yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound insane to me, but, they're saying that they had the guys that had they had pretty decent cards, it seemed. They were dealing with hitching and stuttering. If you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about Borderlands 4 Endgame, Borderlands 4 performance issues. We are going to be diving into Borderlands 4 gameplay this week. That's what this member goal is, by the way. You can make my wife and I play on Friday night. And if we go crazy and get stretched, we got to play on Saturday as well. So if you like watching people like us play. Oh, I missed one. Sorry, Alex. Day late and a dollar short. Yeah, you gifted. I'm sorry, I missed that one. And then Syriu's going to renew as well, and that's going to put us to 89 on the count for the week. Thank you, Syriu, for 16 months over here on YouTube. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And that puts us at 35-6 between the two platforms right now. We need a picture for the goal. Let's see. Borderlands 4. Let's see if I can get let's see if I can get a Psycho PNG here for you guys, and I'll put him down there. Let's see. Here we go. Is this an actual? Let's hear you. A save image as. Yep, I got one. Okay, so we'll go in here to the orc. We'll go in here to the orc and we'll switch it like so. We'll turn him on. We'll drag him. There he is. Here he is. He's literally pointing at the goal. He's telling you to do it. There you go. Wow, and we got a couple coming in. I know what Stone Spire was trying to do, but some people got in front of him. We got a renewal from Crispy Bogod, 48 months and a VIP. And then a single gifted from Angry Pete and a single gifted from Stone Spire takes us to 92, but that's going to be 93. Another one coming in from J Dog. Thank you so much. And that puts us at 10 on the day. Pre-ordered Borderlands, he said, hoping my 5090 powers through any potential issues. It does sound like if you've got a CPU bottleneck, you might want to be a little bit concerned, but it's hard to know. The hitching and the stuttering, historically, I think is an unreal thing. I remember the hitching and stuttering all the way back when I played Fortnite. I mean, it was like a known thing. I mean, every time they did an update, it felt like there was more hitching, more stuttering. It was really frustrating. Did you stream yesterday? I did stream yesterday. YouTube is having some pretty serious issues, so make sure that you are not on restricted mode. Make sure that your notifications are set to all. That's a great way to ensure you don't miss out on the content. YouTube's been having some pretty serious issues lately. The turnout today looks like maybe they fixed it. This is one of the stronger turnouts we've had. This is kind of what I expect. We have been way lower than this lately, and I'm not really sure. I assumed it was the platform because they were not. It's platform wide. It's every YouTuber seems to be having trouble with it. So we haven't made a video about it. I don't want to get stuck talking about it, but hopefully, YouTube's fixing things. A great way to help us to make sure this video does get seen by lots of people is to hit that like button. So thank you guys so much for being here. And Adam Lee renews his membership. Hey everyone, hope everyone's having a great day, and remember to hit that like. Thank you for 27 months. I appreciate that so much. Thank God it's ending. Thank God what's ending. And a gifted from Adam Lee. Thank you so much. Adam, you're on a gifted membership, just so you know. If you want to upgrade that to Member Plus, you get into more content when you do that. There are segments and things you don't get access to. So if you guys want to do that, it's a huge help. Alex right there with 3 years, 36 months in Member Plus. Whoops, wrong room. 3 years, we did it. Thank you guys so much. And by the way, if you guys do watch on Purple and you can watch in both places, that's really helpful, even if you just turn volume down, because a lot of you used to watch all of the time on YouTube. So don't be afraid to come over here to YouTube land every once in a while. Hit those renewals, hit the like button, all the things. How are you, Gamesley Love? How are you doing? I think that's the norm with UE5, that games run well and efficiently are the exceptions. Rich Rice is going to gift a member. We got a member train going right now. We are definitely within 5 of the milestone. We wanted to be at 100 starting today, and you guys are putting us right there on the doorstep. Thank you so much. That little Borderlands image is doing the trick, Hilly. Good call. Everyone's like, I want to see Lono and Madam play Borderlands. That's actually how I got my start streaming, by the way. Way back in the day, 10 years ago, I played the Handsome Collection, and that was how I grew my first sort of initial following on the Purple platform, was with Borderlands. And Alex is going to gift a 5-bomb over here on Purple, and he steals it again. For the second time today, the milestone goes to Purple, and it's now 40-13. There it is. Thank you so much. Greetings, everyone. So hyped about Borderlands 4. Can't wait. It's looking awesome. I have said for a while, I understand people being disappointed in Borderlands 3. Thank God's Borderlands is ending. Why? What's making you say that it's ending? I'm not sure what you're referring to. You think the franchise is ending? I did that because y'all hitting the like. You are not hitting the like over there. Alex is calling you guys out on YouTube for not hitting the like. Let's try to get to 200. We're almost there. So, you said Endgame. Oh, are you making a joke? Are you making a joke? Like, I the, okay. Yes. Okay, I would strongly encourage you to not try to joke again. That was bad. I mean, I don't make the greatest of jokes, but that was really bad. In any case, I understand people being hesitant about Borderlands 4 because of Borderlands 3. Like, I totally get that. I totally understand why somebody might be like, listen, man, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Like, I get it. I get people being like, dude, I have no interest in getting tricked again. They did a bad job with the last one. And maybe you're concerned they're going to do a bad job with this one. I totally get that. I do. From the bird's eye view, from the 30,000 view, whenever the 30,000 foot view, whenever they first showed Borderlands 4 gameplay, I was like, that looks great. It looks like Destiny. It looks like they learned a lot from another, successful looter shooter. Now, obviously, Destiny's in a bad spot right now, but they made it 11 years. I think that says something as a franchise, right? And some of those years were pretty good. Some of those years were really, really good. So to me, if they're learning from another looter shooter, that to me, I think is exciting. It's like, okay, they're not just doing another Borderlands. They're not just going to be like, yeah, it's just another Borderlands. It's like, no, they're actively trying to improve the franchise. 3 wasn't bad. I thought 3 was freaking terrible. I mean, I'm a huge Borderlands fan, and I did not like it at all. A Jareth with 26 months and a member plus. Keep on keeping on, Lono. You're the best for the games industry coverage. I ordered physical BL4 Super Deluxe and cannot wait. Amon, or Amon, how do you say it? Amon is my number one choice. Thank you so much. And that's going to take us to 102 on the week. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. B Hunter over here using their Prime. Thank you so much. That takes us to 103. Appreciate it very, very much. I forgot. I owe you guys one over here on Purple. They stole the milestone of 100. The next milestone is 125. Every 25, it's Amon. Is it Amon? I think at least. All of the trailers I've watched for the characters, I've had the sound off. I've just been looking at the gameplay. So I don't know how to say his name. Or it's Vex and... Wait. Is that the girl? I can't remember the Borderlands 4 classes. It's Vex, Rafa, Amon, and Harlow. Yeah, Vex and Harlow are the girls. Yeah, Rafa and Amon. Raphael with a gifted member. Thank you so much. That puts us at 104. Appreciate you very, very much. And that puts us at 15. Thank you very much. Amon, you guys think that Borderlands will hit Battlefield numbers or lower? I mean, I don't think Borderlands 4 is going to hit that high of a player count. And Stone Spire is setting up a 20-bomb dunker. Guys, it's a race. You got to do a 20-bomb before frickin' Joker Quinn comes in and ruin it. He's going to ruin it. Stone Spire sets it up. 105. Exactly 20 away from the 125. Rich Rice is going to not just gift a member, but renew their VIP plus. Thank you so much, Rich Rice, for doing that. And that gets us to 17 for Team YouTube. 106 on the week. I don't know how they are gaming journos like this, Shell not knowing how to pronounce the things they're reporting on. For that reason, I'm out. Shut up, Parasito. Hey, man, I've not watched any of the videos with the sound on. I've just been interested in the stats and the skills and stuff. I think it looks fantastic. The movement alone made me want to play Borderlands 4 so much. The movement and the fact that they said they were going to go back to like a more grounded thing, less humor. I was like, oh man, they're taking the feedback in, boys. You reckon the 4060 Ti and the i5 will be able to run this game? Love the Silksong video. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Was it the talk show yesterday or the Silk? Maybe you're talking about the Silk Song effect. Appreciate you guys so much. Continue to support all the different videos and all the different content that we do. We do live shows. We do uploads. We do it all. And today we're talking about Borderlands 4 gameplay and where we feel like it's going to land. Here's mine for the YouTube count. Thank you so much, Victor, and gets us to 107. And Joker Quinn's like, I didn't have to do it this time. He's like, the renewals did it for me. There it is. Somebody should still do it just to spite him. Come on. You know what I mean? Somebody, you guys have to take more of an animosity approach here with your gifting. 52 months is pretty good. 52 months is pretty good. Victor's been around for a long time. Yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. Slow Mobia says, I just played Borderlands 3 for the first time a few months ago. The movement was one of my biggest issues. Very excited for the new movement in Borderlands 4. Something I've always talked about with Borderlands gameplay, something I've talked about, is that you don't have any lateral agility. So you end up doing a lot of face tanking. And I always found that to be annoying. It was like, why don't we have like a dodge? And I always said that was one of the things that made elements of Destiny really enjoyable, especially on a hunter, is you have a lateral move to like get out of the way of gunshots. So the fact that we have a glide, a double jump, and a dash, I think that's going to add some significant movement options that will make it seem like you don't just have to like stand and face tank a boss. So if you guys are just tuning in and you're interested in Borderlands 4 gameplay, we will be diving in this week. I have a long history with Borderlands. My wife's username in this space is Madam Crumpet. We literally came up with that name from Borderlands 2 based off of Tiny Tina and her love of crumpets, as well as Madam Von Bartlesby. That's kind of where we that's kind of where we got it. So, can you stop clickbaiting? How did I clickbait today? What about today is a clickbait? What's your issue with today's stream? It literally is it says gaming news and then it says unexpected. There were definitely some unexpected things that came out from both the endgame as well as the performance issues. Like, this is I would say this is a pretty tame thumbnail in the grand scheme of YouTube. Victor Mayhem with 17 months. Welcome back. That gets us to 108. I appreciate it so much. You're the best. It's impossible to stay at 100 for sure. It probably should end up around 90 to 94. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. Seems on topic to me. Yeah, I don't see how we're baiting where we're actually talking about Borderlands 4 gameplay right now. I mean, I don't know. We're on topic. I don't know if you've answered this yet, but do you feel Borderlands 4 is worth it to buy at launch because of performance? I actually think it's totally fine right now to hold off because of performance. I don't really ever encourage anybody to pre-order or buy games. I always tell you that you are in the most powerful position that you've ever been as a consumer. Reviews are supposed to drop tomorrow. We will likely do a Borderlands 4 review waiting room. Like we'll just kind of sit around and wait for the reviews to drop, and then we'll take a look at them. I have said this many times that gamers should be far more careful about that because you can see stuff day one on YouTube and streaming platforms. You can read the reviews. There's the embargoes. There's the Metacritic. There's the OpenCritic. There is a lot, I think, in your corner helping you be an informed consumer. So like, I really don't think you need. I get the desire to preload. I totally get it. It's a huge lifesaver if your internet's not the best. You know, these are pretty big games sometimes. I totally get that. If you're like, dude, I want to jump in to Borderlands 4 gameplay the first minute that I possibly can, I totally get that. Right? I totally get that. But I don't think you have to. I mean, you're so empowered now as a consumer, I think, to wait. Right? I feel like your channel is a scam for members. I don't know what if you have an actual issue, I mean, you can say it other than it just feels like you're talking trash. I don't feel like you're actually voicing like a genuine criticism. Your account is 1 month old. I would imagine that all the people with green names and badges next to their names don't agree with you. So I'll save you the trouble. You don't have to hang out here anymore. If we're clickbaiting and a scam, you can find somewhere else to hang out. You don't have to hang out here anymore. I just freed you from that problem. And we'll just keep gifting and growing the community, and we'll do it without you. Only game you can officially pre-order without fear is Ghosts of Yote. Yeah, I probably think that's a pretty safe bet. Sucker Punch is pretty solid dev. Kenneth Williams with 30 months on a gifted member. Make sure, again, you guys double check if you want to upgrade to Member Plus. That is a huge help to what we do here. And we're trying to get to 600 Member Plus and above. So you can help us with that today by upgrading. Ben, with 54 months in a VIP. 54 months! I've been scammed. Yeah, that's an awful lot of months to get scammed. Thank you so much, Ben, for adding to the total. I greatly appreciate it. That puts us at 109 on the week, and another Member Plus comes in from Jamal. 23 months of being scammed, and that puts us at 109. But then a 5-bomb's going to come in from Parasito, and that gets us to 115. We are exactly 10 members away from the next milestone. It's now 25 to 42. Somebody snag this milestone and drop that 10 bomb. Whoever hits it gets it. We'll see if Twitch or YouTube decide to do it. Welcome on in, by the way. If you guys are interested in Borderlands 4 gameplay, we're talking about the Endgame. I've got some details. I'm going to comb over those in just a moment. We also have some discussion happening about Borderlands 4 performance. And Benevolent Icon with the 10 bomb does it before Joker Quinn has a chance to mess it up. And then another 5 bomb comes in from Wired Rope over here on purple, and that puts us at 130. We could totally leapfrog this. We're now exactly 20 members away from the next milestone of 150. This goal down here in the corner is for a Borderlands stream with my wife on Friday night. You guys can unlock that. If you hit stretch goal, you can get a Saturday stream as well with my wife and I playing some Borderlands. We love playing Borderlands. You guys are not going to want to miss that. The picture in the corner is the most effective thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, thank you, Hilly. Thank you, Hilly. Here's another thing that I'm supposed to do that's effective. If you're a coffee drinker and you're like, look, I don't do memberships or super chats, but I drink coffee, you can use the coffee command or go to reforgeroast.com. And that does support me directly. You'll get a little thank you note from the kiddos. And a 5 bomb comes in from Alex and puts us at 135. Thank you so much. The Twitch boys are bringing the heat today. They're leaving no room for Team YouTube today. Thank you so much, you boys over there on purple. Making it happen. We're getting back to, we need 1,000 sub points, and we're at 840, and you guys are getting us there. You got the Borderlands 4 Super Deluxe Edition, says Corey. Yeah, I don't know if I've pre-ordered it yet. I don't think I did. I didn't do the Collector's Edition. I've got too much junk over there in the corner. I did think about something, though. Creature might get his way. I've got bookshelves that I'm thinking of putting over there. 2 of them, 2 black bookshelves, and I can start to put all my stuff on those shelves. I just have to get the books off of them. Which shouldn't be too hard. There's, a lot of those could be stacked somewhere. But you might get your wish, Creature. You might get your shelves. I don't have to attach anything to the wall. And then I could get those little touch lights that you, stick to the top of a bookshelf. We'll see. That could be a fun project. I'm sick of looking at all that stuff sitting over there. It was an awesome game regardless of who won or lost. I'm sure we will meet again in the winter. How do you have collector's editions if you don't play games? That's my secret, Cap. So I want to go through the Borderlands 4 Endgame details here in just a moment, because one of the concerns about Borderlands 4 gameplay is, I think, for many people, is the endgame. That's going to be the issue, is can you enjoy Borderlands 4 gameplay beyond just that initial playthrough? The way they're setting it up. I actually have some concerns they're repeating some of the mistakes of Borderlands 3. Hilly's going to come over and renew his Member Plus, and Stonespire with a $2 super chat says shelf stream, but we're going to jump to 137 because I got a renewal on purple as well from Big Time Killa. What character are you playing? I think the one I'm going to gravitate to the most is the EXO. My wife usually plays as a siren, so she'll play as the siren. So I'll probably play as the EXO soldier, Rafa, and then after that, I'll probably play as the Gravatar, Harlow. I don't really like melee-based characters, so I typically gravitate away from characters like the Forge Knight. So, yeah. It's number 2 in the top sellers, number 4 in wishlist, number 93 in wishlist activity. Is that for Borderlands 4? That looks pretty good. Harlow is more of the siren. How is that possible? She's not the siren, though. Like, what makes you say that? Hey, somebody ordered some coffee. AOZ ordered 6 bags of the dark roast. Some of these guys are concerned we're not going to do the coffee anymore because it's become really expensive. Listen, if you guys start going crazy and ordering the coffee, then I'll keep us stocked here. Amon has tons of range skills. Well, then maybe I'm misreading him. Anytime I see a character that's more melee based, I tend to stay away from them. I just do. My experience with Borderlands gameplay is that I love the guy that can kind of stay back with like the turrets. I love Axton. I loved oh my gosh, I loved Roland. I love Roland in BL1. I love Axton in BL2. I had so much fun with those. Rafa is melee heavy too. Really, I tend to avoid melee characters. Like, if I'm playing a melee game, I'll play a melee game. I'll play Tsushima or Sekiro or something. Borderlands 4 disappointed me, says Roland ND. It doesn't look like they innovated. Looks like same old Borderlands. I wanted live service or Borderlands MMO. Could have filled the gap Destiny left. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I would say they've innovated where it counts. And this is just based off of my own observations. I don't know if Borderlands 4 gameplay would have worked well in a live service or an MMO. And one of the reasons for that is it's sort of a class character-based game. And I think the difficulty with that is eventually those things become stagnant and it has to become all about the loot, which I think Borderlands could certainly do. But I just... Again, I don't know if that would have been the right call. I don't know if the right call would have been to lean into MMO or live service. Now, as far as we can tell, they are going to have some ongoing content, you know, with a new Vault Hunter and new story and new areas, right? So there is going to be an element of ongoing nature to Borderlands 4 gameplay. You are going to be able to kind of continue playing it. Omar with 41 months and a member plus says, I think live service light approach might be the right chord. Yeah, like, I actually think their ongoing model could work really, really well. Like, I don't necessarily know, and I get where you're coming from. You're like, man, I'd love to have something to replace Destiny, but like, we don't really need Borderlands to try to do that. Ben comes in and double dips 25 months. Thank you so much. 25 months using their Prime. If you guys are paying for Amazon Prime, make sure you head over to that purple platform and use that every month. You got to do it manually. Frickmas this year, it's available right now. Yeah, it's available right now. I like the roadmap. That's live service basically. I mean, here, I don't agree. Let's look at it. I don't agree. Oops. I don't. And Stone Spire gifts a member. I know what he's doing. He bumped the line to 140. He's tempting a 10 bomb. He wants somebody to secure the next milestone of 150. Somebody quickly do a 10 bomb before Joker Quinn ruins it. He is the ruiner. It's dangling there. Whoever hits the 10 bomb, I do owe a single member to YouTube right now. Whoever hits it gets it. I'll owe that platform a single. Twitch has stolen 2 already today. Thank you, Mr. Stonespire. Borderlands has always been kind of a live service light. I will say that Borderlands is... A 10 bomb comes in from Siriu before Joker Quinn has a chance. There it is. The 150. I now owe YouTube 2 members. And guess what? It's 48 to 54. We have an actual fight between the platforms today. It's a close one at that. I don't necessarily think that I would classify Borderlands as live service light, and I don't think Borderlands 4 gameplay is going to be live service light. Like, this to me is the DLC model, and the DLC model has things that are certainly similar to live service. So look, they're doing free content. So they have a seasonal mini event called Horrors of Kairos, new legendary weapons, new cosmetics, new weather variant. Okay, they've done this sort of thing before. Okay, it's kind of like the headhunters, the bounties, the things like this they've done before. Okay, then there's the bounty pack. Now this is going to arrive with new missions and a boss, new legendary gear, a vault card with 24 cosmetics, and 4 pieces of reloadable gear. Now I don't know if they're calling this vault card that because they don't want to call it a battle pass. That does kind of sound like a battle pass. 1 Vault Hunter style, 1 Echo 4 drone skin, 1 vehicle. Okay, now they're saying this is included in the deluxe and super deluxe edition. Like, this sounds like a battle pass. They just don't want to call it a battle pass. This vault card thing. I don't know what this is. Okay. Then they got more free content here. Invincible boss, a high-level boss variant and arena, new legendary weapons, additional ultimate Vault Hunter mode. This is all in the 4th quarter of this year. So the game comes out in a couple of days, and for the rest of the year, they've got stuff planned. Okay? Then we get into next year. It's not a battle pass at all. Explain it to me then. What about it makes it not a battle pass? It's got something with a bunch of cosmetics on it to unlock and 4 pieces of re-rollable gear. That sounds like a battle pass to me. That sounds like the way they did battle passes in Destiny. I wasn't even watching the stream. I got the membership. Shout out to whoever dropped that member. Guys, that's why we gift members. It helps this channel grow. It helps us meet new people. Smash the like button as well. That helps immensely. So when you get into the 1st quarter of next year, new missions and a boss, new legendary gear, another vault card with 24 cosmetics and 4 pieces of reroller gear, 1 player skin, 1 Echo drone skin, and 1 vehicle. And then this is when the big thing drops. Story Pack 1, right? And then they have all these asterisks that says it's included in the Super Deluxe Edition of Borderlands 4. So Mad Ellie and the Vault of the Damned. So this is when they're going to add a new Vault Hunter. This looks like it's going to be some sort of like maybe sniper class, kind of like Mordecai from BL1, new main story missions, new map zone, new side missions, new legendary gear, new cosmetics, 4 Vault Hunter heads and styles, 4 weapon skins, 2 vehicle skins, 3 Echo 4 drone skins and attachments, 1 Echo 4 frame. Now beyond this, they're going to do more bounty packs. That's what these blue things are that seemingly have battle passes that you're saying aren't battle passes. Another story pack, invincible bosses, and more. Now listen. I don't know. That looks a little live servicey. Just a little live servicey. I'm not saying that Borderlands 4 gameplay is gonna be a live service Destiny thing clone, but that does seem like they've got an awful lot planned. That's more ongoing content than I think I've ever seen a Borderlands plan. They've always gone with more of a DLC format where they're like, yeah, we'll do some big DLCs and then maybe we'll do like a fun little holiday event where you go kill a Christmas tree or something. Corey says, Borderlands is sort of the precursor to live service. It is as far down the DLC rabbit hole as you can get without being full live service. Yeah, but what I just looked at looks less like what they used to do and more of a hybrid. They're still doing DLC model. They're still doing a story mission thing. They're still doing a new zone. Well, they never did. Yeah, they did new zones, like the pirate DLC, in Borderlands 2. This feels like it's going to be a bit of a blend, where like they're kind of meeting in the middle. Like, yes, we're doing DLC, but they're also doing these vault card things that sound like a battle pass to me. You know what I mean? Alex says, Borderlands has always been kind of live service light. You don't think it kind of sparked the idea that led to games like Destiny and how they handled live service? Honest question. Yeah, sorry, Alex said that first. He wants credit. And there's your credit. Frequent content updates, weekly activities, Vault Guard Battle Passes, live service. Destiny had DLC. What's this? Let's read this thing that Paul has found here. Playing Borderlands 4 with a Vault card active gives you more loot and XP via daily and weekly challenges, which can unlock additional rewards. Each Vault card is built around a distinct theme and can be leveled up at your own pace. No time limits or expiring rewards here. Once activated, Vault card progression works just like leveling up. It's all driven by how much XP you're gaining. By exploring Kairos, killing enemies, and completing quests, you'll fill up your Vault card progression bar in addition to the regular XP bar. This is a frickin' battle pass, boys. call this what this is. Now, it's the best kind of battle pass. There's no FOMO. It's also mostly cosmetics. There will also be a rotation of daily and weekly challenges from a large pool of possibilities, giving you opportunities to level up your vault cards even faster. Even after you've unlocked all the vault cards' unique loot, you can keep leveling up to earn new rolls of the same gear until you get the drop that perfectly suits your build. So you can keep leveling it up to earn new rolls of the same gear until you get the drop. So like you basically can just keep going. It's not because it lasts forever. Okay, so it's a battle pass that you can prestige. Come on, Byron. Come on. Like that's a battle pass. That 100%. That 100%, that's a battle pass. That's what a battle pass is. I'm not saying that this is going to be a new Destiny, but buddy, does it sound like they've really got a lot for you to do to keep you in the game? Actually asking that? Was he asking a question? This is the same thing they did for BL3. BL3 had these vault cards. BL3 sucked, so who cares? I mean, not to be dismissive, but I am being dismissive of Borderlands 3. Like, Borderlands 3 sucked. You asked you were asking a question? What did you ask, Zubair? That picture in the corner is the most effective thing ever. Actually asking that. No, I was asking a question. I don't see it. I guess changing the names of things actually does work. BL3 didn't suck, though. I thought it did. And the general consensus from the audience was not very good. Interest in Borderlands 4 was initially pretty tepid. It's gotten better with time, but initially people were not super enthused about Borderlands 4, and it was because of Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina. Yeah, that's not in my chat for some reason. I don't see Zubair's question that Parasito took a picture of. If a battle pass goes away, is it a season pass? If a battle pass goes away, it's a season pass. Oh, we must rebel. Thank you for 3 months. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess you could make that distinction if you want. Like, if you feel like, I think that's fine as a distinction. You're asking what vault cards are, and they are straight up just in Borderlands 3. So if you want to know what they are, just look that up. Doesn't matter that if BL3 sucks. The answer to your question is there. It actually quite does matter that Borderlands 3 sucks because I didn't play it or give it a second glance after I rolled credits. So, no, I didn't go and look at any of that. It did not suck. I enjoyed it. It was not BL2, but it was okay. Okay. I don't have an issue with people that enjoyed Borderlands 3. I don't know if our time is best spent retreading all the reasons I thought it was bad and all the reasons you thought it was good. The point that I'm making is this seems like they are going for an ongoing model. Let's say they wanted the ongoing model in BL3. I would say that it didn't work very well. I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it. It didn't really seem to have a whole lot of life. Borderlands 4 gameplay looks significantly better. It looks like Borderlands 4 is going to have a lot more people in it long term than BL3. Like, I think BL3 had like huge initial sales and then it just felt like it kind of dropped off. Like, people just were not that enthused because of the story. And I had issues with a lot of the design choices they made in the first playthrough, which I'm going to look at the Borderlands 4 endgame details here in a moment, and I am worried they're repeating some of the mistakes that I did not like in Borderlands 3. I don't know what they are either because BL3 sucks so bad I didn't even come close to rolling credits. BL3 was bad at launch. It is better now. DLCs were great. I watched a really good video that argued that the Krieg DLC was like really, really good. Yeah, like I think this really, really shows how a lot of us experienced Borderlands this way. All right. Like, for many people, this is Borderlands 3. Like, you see this right here that looks like a roller coaster that would be really, really fun at, like, Cedar Point. You know, just like a boom. I mean, this is how a lot of us experienced it. It's just like, oh, wow, yeah, we don't like this. And then it just never really... I mean, right here, it looks like maybe they had a a good turnout for something, some type of a DLC or some type of a content ad. I played Borderlands 2 more times than I can remember, Borderlands 1 more times than I can remember. I even kind of enjoyed the pre-sequel. I would say that, as far as I can tell, Borderlands 4 is looking promising. It looks like, wow, they really learned a lot. They really applied a lot of what they learned that made people a little like, in BL3. Krieg DLC was great, and the Cowboy DLC, Blood and Roses or something, I did forget the name. What's good, Echo Doctrine? How are you? Guys, take a quick second. If you have not hit the like button yet, do that. Try to get me to 300 likes. It really, really helps. And it seems like maybe things have been improved today. Pre-sequel is actually pretty fun. I love the space movement and the faster revives. There was a really good DLC with Claptrap that I really enjoyed, where the guns were kind of trippy and the soundtrack was really cool. I believe that was in the pre-sequel that my wife and I enjoyed. My wife and I played BL1 and every DLC. We played BL2 and every DLC. We are big Borderlands fans. Hollow Knight sucks on players debate whether the game has design issues or if it's just a skill issue. Yeah, that's gonna be hotly debated. Gonna be hotly debated in the coming weeks from people. Claptastic Voyage. Yes, yeah, the Claptastic Voyage. Yo, what's good, Brooklyn Breed? Claptastic Voyage was awesome. If you guys are just tuning in, we've been discussing Borderlands 4 gameplay. Now, I'm going to go through some endgame details with you guys here, and I want to talk about, what I'm, kind of feeling. I'm both excited, but I am also a little concerned. Okay, I'm a teeny bit concerned about this, and so we're going to pull up. I'm going to pull up a video for you guys, so I have something kind of behind me running. Let's see here if we've got a gameplay overview. Yeah, we've got some gameplay overviews. This'll work. We'll just let this run. We'll loop that. You know what? I'll get a couple gameplay overviews going. I'll get Rafa. That way we can have some good gameplay for you guys. And we'll get this pulled up for you. Because one of the things about Borderlands gameplay is that you have to pick. You have to pick between a character, and that's always going to be the toughest part sometimes. So let's do this. Let me get myself set here with my if I do this thing, if I do it like this, I can kind of see the actual tabs, and then I can go like this. Okay, so make sure if you're enjoying the coverage, make sure you guys hit that like button and enjoy the footage as well as the information here. So Borderlands 4 Endgame sounds promising, but I do have my concerns. There were some things they've done in previous Borderlands games that I feel like really affects it, and I'm hoping that Borderlands 4 gameplay doesn't just deliver on, awesome gunplay and loot and bosses and the like, but the endgame does matter. Now, the fact of the matter is, we all know from previous Borderlands, things tend to really start when you roll over the game into a new Vault Hunter mode, and this will be Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Now, this takes place after the campaign, around level 30 to 35. This will add increased damage scaling. Enemies are going to scale to your level. There's enemy modifiers, and then it has 5 difficulties at launch. Now, before I give you the details about those 5 difficulties, I just want to say, hearing that the enemies scale to your level in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, that again has me concerned that I'm going to get that experience in my first playthrough where I end up over-leveled, and then I end up getting a bunch of stuff that I just get rid of. This was a big frustration for me in Borderlands 3. They said, listen, if you play co-op, everything's going to scale to the people in the party, right? And this was a good idea, right? If you're level 20 and your buddy's level 10 and he comes and plays with you, the stuff that drops for him is going to be at his level and vice versa. However, if you played from the very beginning together, like I played Borderlands with, co-op with my wife, it was like it was always dropping things basically at the level of the enemies, which was static. If you would get over leveled, and then you would be getting a bunch of stuff that you basically just, I argued that it was essentially like a vending machine simulator. Like I was constantly having to go to a vending machine. So I'm hoping that the first playthrough isn't like that. I don't want to feel like I'm just sort of constantly getting stuff that's not worth using. Now, the 5 difficulties at launch does seem to indicate there will be more difficulties later. Now, each difficulty is unlocked by completing challenges. So this is once you've beat the game, you've rolled the game over into Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, and now you're completing challenges. Now, these challenges are called wild card missions. Now, you're going to need to gear up and be strong enough to complete these wild card missions if you want Borderlands 4 gameplay to roll over into these new difficulties. Now, missions that you're going to be playing are ones that you've already beaten. Now they're going to have these modifiers. Now, you don't need to refarm every great piece of gear that you have. If you got something in difficulty level 1 or tier 1, it's going to act as if you found it in tier 5. Now, this isn't like the OP8 levels or the OP levels in Borderlands 2 where you had to get new guns at the new OP levels, okay? There's also dedicated drops. You're going to be able to farm dedicated drops in multiple locations instead of just the same boss over and over and over again. But you can do that if you want with Moxie's machine. Now, it's not clear whether or not you're going to have to do that. Are there going to be items that you can't get anywhere else, or can you generally target farm an item anywhere you want if you don't feel like fighting the same boss over and over? Generally, farming for an item is better spent in an area where you can reload the boss, and they have created an entire mechanic that will allow you to do that. The game will also feature weekly challenges where you hunt a big, boss, and then it also will have weekly wild card missions that will have a legendary drop. There will also be a weekly black market machine, and the items in this black market will be different in everybody's game. Astacross referred to this as like your own personal Xur. If you're familiar with Xur in Destiny, he's basically a guy that shows up and he's got, all these great weapons, and this is going to be something that is specific to your game. Now, this obviously draws a lot of questions about is this game going to be some kind of live service game? Is it going to be a game where there's ongoing content? Well, we just looked at the ongoing content. There's an awful lot of things that look an awful lot like battle passes, and then we know there's DLCs, we know there's new areas, and we know there's new Vault Hunters. Now, there's also firmware. This is going to show up around level 25. This allows you to get basically set bonuses. And once you get into the end game, you'll be able to transfer one firmware from one item to another. So that way you can kind of build and capstone your character and get them running the exact way that you want. There will also be specializations. Now, up to 4 of these can be equipped at a given time. This is account wide. This is kind of like your badass rank in the previous games where you're leveling up things that apply to all of the characters. So that's your specializations. And then once you roll the game over, you can just start a new character at level 30 after completing the campaign and then just jump right into the end game. I think this is great. You don't have to grind a character up to end game. So it does sound like only one vanilla playthrough of the campaign is all that's required. Seemingly, a lot of people said that about Borderlands 3. Anytime I uttered any of my criticisms about it, they're like, we'll just play through it once and then grind the end game. And I'm like, I like that first playthrough to be enjoyable. Now, the post-launch content's going to have bounties, free content. The first quarter of 2026 is going to be a DLC, a new Vault Hunter, a new zone, new missions, new gear. And then beyond this, there's going to be another story pack, another Vault Hunter, more bounties. And they have these things called Vault Cards that they did in Borderlands 3 that are basically like battle passes that never expire. And this one's going to have legendaries that you can continue to grind the battle pass, as it were, and get new versions every single time you do. So there's no FOMO, but there also seemingly is no end either. By and large, I think this all sounds very, very promising. Borderlands 4 gameplay, to me, looks promising because they innovated on movement. My biggest issue with Borderlands up to this point is that you don't really have any lateral agility, as in moving left to right. You just kind of face tank a lot of the enemies, or just kind of get out of the way. If there's a big attack coming, you have to run and hide. I love the fact that we're going to be able to jump, double jump, dash, glide, going to give you that agility and that movement that is, seen in games like Destiny, where you don't typically face tank unless, of course, you're standing in a well and getting buffs from that. So I'm actually very excited about this. Just a little concerned that first playthrough is going to be simply a rite of passage and the real game exists beyond it. I've never liked that. I like the first playthrough to feel good and meaningful instead of just something that you just go through the motions and get over with, because then you're really in the actual game. So by and large, sounds promising. A few concerns. Curious what you think. Let me know. So curious what you guys think right now. That's the Endgame details. That's where things are landing. You know, I've had these concerns before about, like, if you basically make the first playthrough essentially, it's just a going through the motions thing. Like, that's all it is. You're just going through the motions. You're not necessarily, you know, caring about that initial playthrough. I'm curious if you guys agree with me. Like, does that first playthrough matter to you, or are you just kind of like, yeah, no, I don't care, just get me to the end game? You know, do you typically just sort of push through and treat it in that way? What do you guys think? Do you think that's going to hurt Borderlands 4 gameplay? Is it going to enhance it? Is it going to make it better? You know, I, for one, feel like the first playthrough is important. I like to get the gear. I like to look at the gear. I don't like to get to level 15 and then everything I'm killing is a level 11 and then everything I'm getting is a level 11. I've never enjoyed that. It just turns it into, you know, a vending machine simulator where I'm like taking everything I'm getting and just getting rid of it. Borderlands 4 graphics the same as BL3? I don't think so. I think Borderlands 4 looks really, really nice compared to BL3. I think it's a step up. It's not like life-changing, but it looks like a step up. Captain Awesome says, I will turn around every stone in my first playthrough. Okay, so if you guys are like me and you exhaustively play through that first playthrough, do you care if the loot is below your level? I can't stand that. That drives me crazy. It's like in Borderlands 3, you got to that second area, and if you were like a level 13 or 14, everything you were killing, everything you were getting was beneath you. And it was like, well, this is stupid. I'm just throwing everything away at this point. The best way to keep your weapons at your level in Borderlands 3 was to use the Jacob's machine in the Sanctuary ship. Anytime you had like a couple of levels, like you leveled like 3 or 4 times, you would just go buy all your guns from that ship, the vendor in the ship, because that actually always scaled with you. They spoke to the loot, Lono. They said loot will scale to your level throughout your playthrough, but the enemy levels will vary. So they specifically spoke to this. To echo what DSB said, they have stated that if you find a difficult boss, you can go grind and get better gear and levels to power up for the boss. I'm talking about the loot, though. When I'm playing through Borderlands 4 gameplay, when I'm playing, am I getting loot at my level? For solo story gameplay, I think I'm on. It's the one for me. With open world now, says Echo Doctrine, I think every area will drop loot at level. You can replay side quests, and first playthrough can last as long or short as you want. Yes, Lono, I know what you're saying. They specifically said that. Do you know where they said this? Do you know where they have spoken to this? Borderlands 4 loot will scale to your level. I'm really interested in how they've talked about this. They've said that'll happen in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. I want to see if they've said that'll happen in the first playthrough. I recall them saying the same thing about BL3, and the game was not that way. Yeah, BL3, they always talked about that, though, in the context of co-op, Eugene. They talked about, in the context of co-op, that the loot would always be at your level. If, like, you were a level 20 and you joined your buddy who was a level 10, you would get loot at your level 20. Let me look. I have to remember where it was mentioned. Yes, I want to see this, like, strongly confirmed. It was one of my biggest frustrations with BL3 because, like, it didn't take long at all. If you just did a couple of side missions, you ended up over-leveled. And then everything that drops is worthless. It's like, well, I'm 15 and you're dropping level 12s. I'm going to throw all that away. And then I'm going to take all my money that I got from selling it all to a vending machine, and I'm going to go to the Jacob's vending machine in the Sanctuary ship, and I'm just going to buy guns from him at my level. I will never forget finally getting the Flame of the Firehawk in BL2, and it was like 5 levels below my level. People were like, well, legendaries outlive their level. I don't freaking care. It was said at the PAX panel. And they were specifically talking about the first playthrough. See, this is the other thing I think sometimes that happens with Gearbox when they're talking about Borderlands gameplay. They start to conflate things. They're talking about Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. They're talking about Endgame, and they'll get themselves confused. People are like, well, is loot going to drop at my level? Well, of course it's going to drop at your level. They said all these things about BL3, and it wasn't true. Thank you, Wilbur. I already paused it. You always need to get new stuff, otherwise the loot mechanic is missing. If you can sell it or upgrade it, I don't mind. It's a looter shooter, and when loot drops and the loot's not exciting, that breaks the psychology of the game. That immediately breaks the psychology of the game. It's like, now wait a minute, I'm supposed to be killing this boss, mini-boss, group of baddies, and combing over the loot and caring about it. If I'm a level 15 and they're all dropping levels 11s and 12s, guess what I do? I just scoop it all up and I never give it a second glance. It might as well just be money on the ground. It's meaningless to me. I'm not trying out any of the new mechanics, any of the new guns, any of the new shooting, any of the new manufacturers, because I'm like, well, it's all beneath my level. Why would I waste my time with any of this? Why would I bother? They should drop stuff that can damage the enemies in that area better. I mean, that's contextual power, and I'm always in support of contextual power. I'm talking about things being at your level. That's all I'm saying. One of the major problems with Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 is that you would do side missions and you would end up over-leveled. And then it made the main mission stupid. It was like, well, I'm fighting this boss, and he drops a bunch of loot, and it's all multiple levels beneath me. Oh, it doesn't really matter. Yes, it does. No, I don't know anybody who plays any element of an RPG and is like, no, it's fine if the loot drops and is not at my level. Like, that's the whole point. Is like, I've leveled up. I've got more skills. And now the loot should be dropping at a higher level as well. Zones had predetermined levels in the past, not in an open world. That is true. We are now in an open world. Guys, very quickly, double check that you have hit the like button on this stream. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. We have been we've been dealing with some of the same things everybody else has been dealing with on the old YouTubey tubes, and you guys have made it. You guys have helped out quite a bit, and we really are appreciative of that. Thank you so much for your ongoing support of what we do here. It means a lot. It really truly does. If I'm getting trash loot, it better be easy to scrap. I wouldn't be surprised if the daily missions have weapon archetype tasks. Get X kills with this kind of gun. I'm fine with that. They need some loot to be standard each playthrough, and then a random loot pool of good stuff that's to the player's level. No. You don't understand. Chris, they have randomization in the game. So the manufacturer parts, you could get a gun with like a TD or reload mechanic and a Torg barrel and a Malawan scope, right? All the different parts are intermixed. So the RNG of the loot drop will determine its value and its efficacy. The level should just be at my level. I killed you. Give me a gun at my level. What determines how good the weapon is the randomization of the parts. Like, I shouldn't be like, oh yeah, you need bad loot to make the good loot good. This is true. RNG protects them from that. You're not going to be getting killer guns every single time a pile of loot drops. Based on creators' videos that have all been playing one story mission, they have gone at it. They have done it at different levels, and enemies been level 1 above them, and they have gotten on-level gear in the drops. Okay, but that sounds like Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Were they testing Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, or were they testing the actual just first playthrough? Like, that, what you're saying they were one level above them. What level were they in the footage? I mean, we can pull it up right now and look. Some creators played mission at level 13. Enemies were 11 to 14. Others played at level 30, and they were 29 to 31. Okay, so it does sound like when they were playing through not in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, it sounds like they were facing enemies that were in a range of levels. I mean, that to me is fine. I think that's fine. I think that if they're going to excuse me, if they're going to do a range of enemies, at least some of the stuff that drops then will be at my level. I'm okay with that. The issue that I ran into in Borderlands 3 was I ended up over-leveled and everything I killed was below me. Like, the area was set. So I went in as a level 15. Everything was a level 12. And I'm like, this is a main story mission. Everything was a 12. Everything they dropped was a 12. The boss was a 13, and he dropped level 14 stuff. Well, by the time I got to him and beat him, I leveled up. I was a level 16, and the stuff that he's dropping is like 2 and 3 levels below me. It doesn't make that very celebratory. It's like, well, I beat a boss and basically don't have much to show for it. Guys, we are super, super close. We need 18 more likes. Hit that little thumbs up. We've been talking Borderlands 4 gameplay. Will you be diving in to Borderlands 4 gameplay day one? Who are you going to be playing as? And do you have any concerns about the nature of the endgame? It took forever when you became overleveled in Borderlands 3 for weapons to drop around your level. Overleveling hurt my fun a little bit. Well, and this is what everybody always told me at the time. This is what they always told me at the time. They said, well, just get through your first playthrough. The first playthrough doesn't matter. And I'm like, what do you mean? It matters to me? I agree with Bandit. I don't think we have Ultimate Vault Hunter mode footage yet. Some creators had the second purple experience bar. Okay. So you're telling me they were playing, and it sounds like they were getting enemies at and around their level, which means you should then also be getting loot at and around your level. I'm okay with a few drops here and there or enemies here and there being below my level. I'm totally fine with that. I am. I'm totally fine with that. That's not what happened in BL3. It was basically everything. You're skipping Borderlands 4? Are you a big Borderlands fan, or is it they just not sold you on it yet? Because I'm a huge Borderlands fan, and I did not like BL3 at all. Tiny Tina's was fine, but I false started with it. I just assumed one of the reasons I couldn't get into Borderlands at the time was because primarily I had some fatigue, you know? That was kind of one of my concerns, was that I had fatigue. It was like I was just burned out on the game. You know, my wife and I had played so much Borderlands that it was like maybe we were just fatigued on the actual genre itself, on the franchise itself. First playthrough being a throwaway is not good design. For many, it will be their only playthrough. I think that's so well stated, Omar. That's so well stated. It's like, if you're going to jump into Borderlands 4 gameplay and you're like, yep, I'm going to play through this story mission, and people are like, well, the first playthrough doesn't really matter, and loot's not at your level, and you just want to get to Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Man, a lot of those people are going to be like, what? Burnout happens. That's why I don't like full-on live service for these types of games. I tend to agree with you. Okay, here's the quote from the PAX panel. Similar to Borderlands 3, it will feature a level scaling system that allow players to join any lobby and match up with the levels in that world. It also applies to their loot, as each player will have their own pool of rewards to check. Okay, they said that about Borderlands 3, and it didn't friggin' work. Same, I tried Tiny Tina, and I was fatigued by the time the game came out. Yeah, I don't think it was bad. I just wasn't in the mood. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I think one of the best things about Borderlands 4 is I haven't played one in a really long time. You know what I'm saying? I have not played a Borderlands in a really long time, and I think that's going to help me enjoy it. I'm not going to feel this sense of fatigue. I'm kind of ready. I've been playing a lot of like melee-based games and platformers. I'm ready. I guess we'll see. There's nothing we can do about it now. No, there's nothing we can do about it now. I was hoping maybe we could get concrete information. Like, did they specifically speak to it? Because they said that in BL3, and it's like it didn't work. My wife and I played co-op from moment one, and eventually we were over-leveled. It took almost no time at all. I'm telling you, it was around level 13 is when it happened. That's super early. The first 10 levels are not that long. It's relatively quick. You false started with Borderlands 2 and 3. Hopefully, Borderlands 4 can grasp me. I mean, what type of games do you like, Zinthos? Are you a Destiny player? You'll get that Destiny itch. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I haven't touched Destiny in over 4 years. You know? Lono is ready for that looter, that shooter steak cooked how he likes it. That's right. I agree that the first playthrough should not be throwaway. Your difficulty will also be separate from each other when playing co-op. But it's not going to be for a lot of people. My wife and I are going to play through the game together from the beginning to the end. That's what this goal in the corner is, by the way. If you guys get this for Friday, we'll do a Friday night stream. And we'll stream Borderlands. I've got 2 capture cards. I've got 2 monitors. I swap between the perspectives. It's a really, really good time. You're not going to want to miss it. If you goes crazy and hit stretch, we'll do one on Saturday as well, because I know some people can't watch on Friday night. So make sure and check your renewals. Get those gifteds going. Get the like count going as well. We're super close to 300 likes. You guys have crushed it today. Thank you so much. The only reason I haven't pre-ordered the game is I'm waiting to find out which platform it runs well on. Obviously, my preference would be Xbox, but if it's not 60, I'll do PC or PS5 Pro. I don't see why this would have any issues running on the Series X. You missed Friday night streams? We've been doing them. Oh, you got to be a member to come to a Friday night stream. Well, you know, if you can't do a membership right now, maybe you'll get a gifted. Guys, that right there is one of the reasons why, if you can do a member plus, it really makes room for others. You can hit that join button and pick the $6 member plus. You know, you can get out of the gifted pool, make room for others. We're trying to get to 600 people at member plus and above. How do you make playthrough 1 not a throwaway? Loot stays relevant stronger, being able to toggle true Vault Hunter mode from the start. I would say just make the loot level with you, and then it's not throwaway, because it will just seamlessly go into Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. I've been getting loot at my level. This is really fun. Now it's time for Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Now it's time to continue getting loot at my level, and now I've got to do more specific grinds and more min-maxing to make sure I'm really, really strong. Like, you're basically not min-maxing in your first playthrough, but give me loot it's a looter shooter. Give me loot that's relevant to where I am. And Darren with 15 months on a member plus. Thank you so much for doing that. That gets us to 152. Thank you so much. And we've got a bit of a fight today. It is now 49 to 55 between the 2 platforms. And I do owe 2 singles to YouTube. Let me do that now. Even from the beginning, you set your difficulty. For instance, you go with hard mode and Madam goes with easy mode. Loot is also separate. I know, but like, again, when we played through BL3, that was how it was supposed to work. Everything that dropped was supposed to be at your level, and it didn't do it. It just didn't. Funny coincidence, we were talking about burnout yesterday at my job. Watch those burnout signs. That's right. That's fine. I'm going to do the 2 members that I owe Team YouTube right now. I owe you guys 2 singles, and I'm gonna go ahead and pay up on those. And then we'll set the super chat goal. I know sometimes you guys like to do super chats instead, so I will gift a member every 5 super chats. I give 1 back. I give a member back to the community. And there we go. I'm buying it on PS5 Pro. It will always run best there console-wise, since it's the strongest console on the market. I mean, that is generally true, as long as the developers don't completely mess up like they did with Metal Gear. Generally, yes. Everything, if you're console-wise, if you're only working within consoles, that is the best place to play, as long as they don't make a bunch of dumb decisions. I wouldn't put that past Gearbox, but, you know, the hope would be that that's not something that they do. When's the embargo lift? I don't know. Sometime tomorrow. We're going to do a Borderlands 4 review roundup, as well as a Borderlands 4 review waiting room. We'll do both tomorrow. We don't have an exact time, so I don't know. I mean, if anybody knows anybody with review access, just ask them. Say, hey, when's the embargo? They should be allowed to share that information. They're not talking about the game, right? I'm glad to hear my constant complaining has gotten you guys to say console performance instead of performance. Game comes out Thursday at noon. Yes. Is Borderlands 4 confirmed to be Pro enhanced? Let's see. Borderlands 4 PlayStation Store. No, it's not. I'm not seeing it listed. It's not listed as enhanced. Yeah. It's kind of surprising because I feel like PlayStation's done a lot of the marketing and a lot of the push for them. But it is not enhanced. You know, at some level, I'd almost rather a game at launch don't do enhancements unless you can nail it. Like, don't do it. If you can nail it, then do it. Nail it. But we've had enough games that have done a bad job. They got a state of play. Again, I'd rather have them not do it than do it and have it run poorly. Because, like, I don't need a Borderlands game to be enhanced. It's not Tsushima or Yote or a game like that. It doesn't have that level of graphics and things. Like, I think it looks very good. But to me, it's like I don't need the game to be PS5 Pro enhanced, especially if they can't do it right. We've had games do it, and then the game runs poorly at launch on the Pro, and I'm like, just wait. If you can't get it right, don't do it. If you're giving me a choice between a Pro enhanced game that doesn't properly implement it well or run well, or don't do it, I'd be like, well, then don't do it. Because a lot of the games don't even give you the option to turn the crap off. You just have to deal with the less performance. Right? You said the PS5 Pro is the strongest in the market. That's still true. Even if they don't do the enhancements, it's still a stronger console that generally will make performance better. Yes, and that's a matter of fact. That's not a matter of opinion. We've already seen that on a handful, well, pretty much every game, honestly. Before the Endgame reveal, says Jesse Green, they discuss major regions have certain level range, but if you want to go to an old region you've completed, those enemies and loot will scale to your level. So they did say that. Now, were they talking about Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, or were they just speaking in general, like the game itself is just going to level to you? Because with being an open world game, that is certainly keeping, and again, I think that's the right call. You want the game to be relevant to you. You don't want to have entire regions of the game just become completely irrelevant. If the Pro is running a standard version, it won't be running at 99%, so the experience will be smoother. This is true. So, I am very much of the opinion that if you can't do it right, then just wait. Because with the PS5 Pro enhancements, a lot of these games that have had issues, they did it too quick. And not only did they do it too quick, you couldn't turn it off. If you didn't want it, you couldn't be like, well, just give me the standard performance mode. They were speaking in general. At least that's what it seemed to me. Why is this a question? Why is what a question, Pyramid? What are you specifically asking about? First playthrough, they have not shown Ultimate Vault Hunter mode gameplay yet. I'm telling you, these guys get confused. So I'm not willing to definitively say it's going to work that way until I'm playing the game and contest it myself. You know, if I'm a level 15 and I go back to an early game area and they're dropping things at my level, then I'm golden. I'm like, that's exactly what I've always wanted out of a Borderlands. Don't make entire portions of the game irrelevant to me as soon as I go, ding, well, I'm a level 10 now. This entire area is a joke. Oh, we have a side mission. You got to go back there. Great. I'm going to go back there and get a bunch of level 5 stuff while I'm there. Like, I totally think that's the right call. Why is the question of the standard version of game will perform better on the Pro than the base? I don't know. It's a question because you put a question mark at the end. That's good. That's good, Reckless. We are super close to 300 likes, guys. You're crushing it today. Thank you so much. We've been discussing Borderlands 4 Endgame, and you guys have just been absolutely crushing it. So thank you so much. If you have found this stream looking for Borderlands 4, like we're showing up in search results right now, this is a daily safe for work gaming talk show. So consider hitting subscribe. I'll be in your feed most of the time. If I'm ever not in your feed, make sure your bell button's set to all. Get in our Discord if you're a member especially. I do streams with my wife on Friday nights that you guys can unlock, and we will be playing Borderlands this week. Her and I are both big Borderlands fans. She was like, are you going to take the day off the day the game comes out? She's like, because she wants to play it. She is like super, super stoked. So, have you seen the playtest streams? No, I have not. There have been a few games that perform better on the base than the pro. Yeah, there's been like 2, I think, maybe 3. The Metal Gear game, and there were some others that I can't remember. Would you stop someone from co-oping someone on the easiest difficulty and another on the hardest to cheese loot on the harder difficulties if the loot is instance as well as difficulty? I don't care. Real King Salty with a $5 super chat. With that being said about gear level scaling, are you in support of specific gear drops like exotics being farmable from early game area bosses and elites? Yeah, I think that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Like, if there's a boss that can drop an exotic and I just feel like farming him in the early game, I think that's totally fine. Let me do it. Let me farm it up. If somebody's going to play with their buddy and try to get instance loot drops, you know, to make it easier on them, well, the enemy should be also instancing at their level. So that shouldn't make it super, super easy. Also, if somebody's going to play that way, like, I don't freaking care. If you want to play that way, I remember playing through Borderlands 2, okay? Borderlands 2. And I remember playing with my buddies, and I remember somebody saying, you know, hey, I've got these weapons. I have these modded weapons that my buddy gave me. And they were one-shotting everything. They were super, super strong. And I told my friends, I said, don't do that. Don't do that. It will ruin the experience for you. I said that this game runs on getting loot and being excited about that loot. That's what the game runs on. I said, if you're going to use those weapons, it is going to ruin your experience. And they didn't listen to me. And a week later, my buddy came back and he said, I deleted my save and I started all the way over. He was like, you were right. It completely ruined the experience. Like, the excitement about getting the loot initially, I mean, it had them so stoked. They were like, oh, these weapons are so awesome. But then as time went on, they just realized that, like, well, the game's not exciting now because I'm not using any of the loot that drops. I'm not even looking at it. I've been so hype on this game, but I'm so disappointed they are going with UE5. I'll be surprised if it runs well. I mean, I would say there's been a handful of games in UE5 that have run completely fine. I mean, I obviously I am worried as well because Unreal 5 has had its issues. I'm right there with you. I am. I'm right there with you. I've definitely, Metal Eden, they fixed a lot of their issues. It runs fine. It doesn't run perfect, but it runs better than it did at launch. I mean, it's very, very playable. I didn't have any major issues at all. Split Fiction is in Unreal 5, and it runs fine. I feel like I played something else recently that was Unreal 5. Yeah, Expedition 33 was, and it did have some issues. Now, listen, you're going to laugh, but Concord was a shooter in Unreal 5, and it ran really, really well. And that was a shooter. Marvel Rivals is in Unreal 5, and it runs really, really well. I don't think Unreal 5 is like automatically terrible, but not open world. Yeah, I mean, I guess that could cause issues. I think open world seems to struggle the most with UE5, which is why I'm more concerned. The same thing happened with Capcom and their engine. The RE engine is great, and then they took it into the open world, and it caused all sorts of problems. There's always that concern, I think is fair, that like the open world is gonna come in and cause issues. Currently there's a great deal on Alan Wake 2 on PSN Store. Is that Unreal 5? I think so. Are the PC recommendations listed? Yes, they're on Steam. We looked at them a little bit earlier. Data streaming on UE5 on bigger games is a foundational issue, says Paul. It comes down to which version of UE5 they're using. Those games run fine because of the small areas. Oh, Monster Hunter Wilds runs flawlessly on my PC, oddly, since launch, max settings. I mean, I would say you're one of the lucky ones. I would say you're one of the lucky ones. There are a lot of people that did not have a great time with the performance of Monhun. I don't know. Even right now, Borderlands 4 gameplay, it sounds like it could have some issues. I mean, it does. I'm not hearing anything like terrible. I'm hearing something in the home. What the heck is going on? Is somebody at our front door? Oh, that's me. I was like, huh? He probably has a Threadripper CPU. I'm going to go to the live feed here. I was really hoping... Yeah, they didn't. I was hoping the trash would take the grill. Wow, hater alert. Who's hating? It's not going to run well for over 50% of the people on PC. You can take the statistics from Battlefield 6. Most people were on lower end hardware. Most likely to develop on older UE5, not UE5 5.6. I've seen some micro stutters and FPS drops in some of the gameplay videos. Yeah, Eric's Gaming said that they were dealing with some stutter issues. They were dealing with some hitches and things. Yeah. Guys, really, really quickly, if you haven't hit the like button yet, consider hitting it. You guys keep getting us to the edge of that, and then people start unliking. Don't let the trolls win, okay? Roll it over. Roll it over, boys. We've been in a holding pattern and can't get to 300. We got these hate watchers that just won't roll the likes over. I had to look it up. Alan Wake 2 uses Remedy Entertainment's proprietary Nort Light engine. Oh, that's right. Isn't it the same one they used with Control, I think? Yeah. Have you seen the Randy post about the day one patch? Yeah, we can talk about that next. We can talk about that next. I think that people are once again displaying a strange sensitivity to what a CEO says. Like, I don't know why people are so upset here. So let's talk about Borderlands performance. Let me get in frame here and we'll talk about this. So if you're concerned about Borderlands 4 performance on PC, hopefully it's going to be fixed by day one patch. Now, Randy Pitchford's not really mincing words about older PCs, and one of the results from a review specifically at Destructoid, it was actually their hardware. They were having issues with their power supply, but that doesn't mean that the game does not have issues. Eric's Gaming indicated that the game was running between 60 and 70 FPS on an RTX 4080. They were running at like 1440. They weren't really pushing like into Ultra and 4K, but that 60 to 70 FPS on that RTX 480, there is a catch. It was running frame gen in order to do that. Now, without frame gen, the game was running at like 30 to 40 FPS. Now, he provided the details about the resolution, the graphical settings in the comments below the video. So if you want to check out his video and see, you can look at that. Now, listen, he didn't really fixate on the frame rate issues. He literally said in his comment and in the video that even with frame gen running, it did not feel like the input latency that plagued games like Monhun, and like I had a bad experience with Black Myth Wukong on console. Frame gen was used to double the frames, and it creates a lot of input latency. And he said that Borderlands 4 actually felt totally fine with frame gen running. And obviously mileage will vary, and performance and perception and everybody's personal experience is going to vary. He did say though that Borderlands 4 gameplay on PC did have stutters and hitches that hopefully the day one patch will help. Now, this is where Randy Pitchford he doesn't really like to hold back, and I think this is something that does ruffle feathers, but I actually would prefer somebody to just shoot straight. And this is what Randy Pitchford said in response to the Destructoid article. He said, the day one patch does a lot. That said, the expectation for using a below min-spec machine should be that the game is unplayable. That the game runs at all on your system is a miracle. That you can get 55 to 60 FPS on a heavy combat section is actually incredible, given how the engine and what's going on under the hood. Your specification doesn't indicate if you're on SSD or HDD, but that could also explain some of the hitching. It's a big, bold, new, seamless world, and I'm sorry to say that older hardware may not provide buttery smooth performance from the latest gen AAA games, as has always been the case since the dawn of PC gaming. Now, many people pointed out to Randy, like, hey, this guy's device wasn't like a low-end device, but the plot thickens, okay? Scott, the writer for Destructoid that Randy was replying to, said the following, quote, I updated this article just now with new info about my PC specs and issues. My PSU died 2 days ago, and that looks to be the cause of the worst issues I was having. So it seems the issue was not entirely to blame on the game or Unreal 5. He was having issues with his power supply. Also, the rigs that were running for Eric's Gaming, I had people in my chat tell me that they were a little bit CPU bottlenecked. It was a little bit below those specs. Now, here's the thing. This is my thoughts on this, okay? I feel like people don't like honesty. You know, like we went through this recently with indie studios that were sort of speaking out about the fact that like the Silksong price and what led to Silksong taking 7 years and a 3-man team and only charging $20 is not something that's going to be normal or something that every single indie studio can do. Well, people turned it into, oh, they're attacking Team Cherry, they're lazy and making excuses. No, they were just being honest. And I feel like Randy Pitchford's being honest. He's like, listen, if your PC is below the specs that we're telling to run it, it's probably not going to run well. Now, people are saying things like, well, this is just bad PR. Since when do you want good PR? Good PR is often glib. It's often misleading. They just gloss over these issues and like, well, we really optimize the game to run as good as possible on a large variety of rigs, and mileage may vary, and you might have to tweak some settings, and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's not really ingratiating the game to you if you're on weaker or older hardware. Wouldn't you rather have somebody shoot straight with you about this instead of like glossing over or misleading you or just doing sort of like double speak corporate PR nonsense? Like, I don't know. To me, I would rather somebody just like give me the straight facts and tell me if my rig's not going to have a good time. All things considered, hopefully these issues with the hitching and the stuttering do get resolved, and that you don't have to use FrameGen if you don't want to. FrameGen is meant to sort of smooth over inconsistent frame rates. It's not meant to double you from 30 frames to 60, which it sounds like Borderlands is kind of committing that, faux pas. If anything, hopefully that day one patch can help and resolve certain things, because I think everything else about this game sounds very promising. Be sure to check out my video about Endgame, my stream about Endgame, and discussing that with a live audience, because I do think this is going to be the best Borderlands to date, even if maybe it's a little rough around the edges at launch. I think Randy is saying that the minimum really is the minimum. We aren't really kidding around here. Digital Foundry recommends FrameGen if you are over 100 FPS, at which point, why use FrameGen? As I say, these tools were made to turn 1440-60 into 4K 120, not turn 1080-30 into 4K 60. Right. And I think that's generally where we want to see it no longer. I don't want to see it used in this way. Like we need to stop using FrameGen to basically get to basic level performance. Like if you can't give me 60 FPS, without FrameGen, then I would say that's a problem. You optimized somewhere along the line. You did something with optimization that is not good. Is that at least, again, this is my opinion on the matter. But I don't know. Who said that if I'm over 100 FPS, I'm still far short of my 240 FPS. That's right. Zubair loves to go way, way up with the frames per second. I think many people with high-end Intel PCs need process lassos to disable E-cores, efficiency cores, as they have caused so much stuttering in games prior to this for me. We all knew this was going to happen. Again, I would much rather a CEO just shoot straight and not give me, the generic corporate garbage. Like, I don't need you to speak nonsense to me, if that makes sense. Like, I don't need you to blow smoke. I don't need that. That doesn't help. That doesn't help me. That doesn't really help anybody. Like, I need to know, how's this thing gonna run? What's the min spec? What's the performance that I can come to expect? Like, that's what I think we should hope to hear from people. I don't want to be given some double speak or some glib remark about, like, well, we did our best and we really tried to optimize for a litany of configurations that are out there. It's like, well, that doesn't tell me anything. The eCore thing is game to game, says Zubair. If you are highly invested in a game and you like tinkering for performance, then you need to tinker and figure it out. Glad he's being straight about it before a ton of people buy the game and get mad about it not performing well. Yeah, like, if he's basically telling people, yeah, you might not want to play this one, people are like, well, he's making excuses. Lazy dev. And I'm like, okay, hang on just a second. So the homie literally tells you that you should not expect great performance if you're on these weaker rigs. And instead of being like, hey, thanks for being honest, thanks for that disclaimer, people turn it into something villainous. It's like, I don't think people are thinking about this in the right way. To me, you would want somebody to tell you, like, yeah, it's probably not going to run that well on your rig. He's not saying stop being poor. He's saying you need this level of hardware for this game. Yeah, this is one of those times where he did not do the cliche Randy thing and say, real fans will upgrade their rig or something. Do you know what I'm saying? He wasn't like, yeah, real fans will figure it out. They'll upgrade to a high-end GPU. And they'll like, that would have obviously been like, oh, really? We want to go around, we want to do this again, Randy? Like, the whole real fans thing? Like, I would totally be on everybody's side if, he decided to do that again. You decided to give it a bit of a double dip. And go back down this lane of like, well, yeah, let's do that one more time. Let's make everybody really angry. You know what I mean? That I think people would be well within their right to be like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, well, if you like our game, you'll upgrade your PC. Real fans will find the teraflops. That's right. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. For sure. For sure. What are we looking at here? 20 best-selling PlayStation games. Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, God of War, and The Last of Us. A lot of exclusives up there. In good company with a bunch of Call of Duties and Grand Theft Auto. Jiminy Christmas. You know what I mean? When a new game comes out, it's always going to have issues at launch. I mean, there have been some that don't, There have certainly been some that don't. There have certainly been some that, are able to have zero performance issues at launch. I do think it is pretty common. And listen, this is something that we've talked about. I mean, when you do multi-plat releases, you're having to optimize for a lot of different configurations. And that certainly has to be considered when you're building a game and you're building it for, all these different PC configurations, and you've got all these different things running, and you've got all these different explosions and enemies running around. That's going to be something they're going to have to wrangle with, and it's something that I've talked about. Like, I think people just assume, multi-plat's better and multi-plat's awesome. And a lot of people completely misunderstand what I'm saying. They're like, well, you say every multi-plat game isn't good or is it quality? It's like, I've never said that. I've also never said that like multi-plat games can't be, optimized at launch. You are absolutely compounding the issue, though, the minute you go multi-plat. You've got multiple platforms that you're having to deal with, and you're going to have these issues that come up. Can we stop being fans of hardware? You're free to like and dislike whatever you want. If people are a fan of hardware or new GPUs or their console, they're well within their right to do that as a consumer. I think that's part of the conundrum right now with the gaming dialogue, is people are trying to force something where, like, hardware doesn't matter, platform doesn't matter, we should just care about games, which is just some superficial glib nonsense. That doesn't land on the history of gaming, and it doesn't land on what people have grown to like. Who told you base PS5 will have a performance mode? Who told me that? I don't think I said anybody told me that. Are you talking to somebody in chat? I don't know if they've come out and specifically spoken to it or not. If they have, we could go and look at the interview to see if they've specifically spoken to whether or not there'll be a performance mode. Digital Founder was talking about how Uncharted 4 runs and looks better than the new 007. Yeah, which is a perfect example of what happens when you have a game that is ahead of its time because it was built for a single platform. And that's going to be a very, very common occurrence. You're going to have that optimization and that innovation turned all the way up, and you're going to have games that are ahead of their time. We've seen this evidence just by looking at Ghost of Tsushima port on PC. People were very impressed with how the game looked. It's an impressive game considering it was a PS4 game, right? Borderlands is going to be in the same camp. It's a multi-plat game that had to wrangle with multiple platforms, and there's going to be issues. And to be like, well, the devs are lazy and the engine sucks. It's like I guess we can do that every single time a game comes out and has problems, or you could admit that like it's more complex. It's more complex than just finding one scapegoat. It's not just because it's multi-plat. Sometimes it's the engine. Sometimes it's particular constraints of the things they're trying to do. Some engines struggle in open world. We've seen this with the RE engine. We've seen this with, Dragon's Dogma and other games that have issues specific to like that CPU bottleneck. So Borderlands 4 having performance issues, that's unfortunately a sign of the times, where if you use Unreal and you're doing multi-plat, this is kind of what we get. FF16 was built for one platform. FF16 ran perfectly fine. They made a bad decision with their performance mode. That's not indicative of a game built for one system that didn't run well. It actually ran really well. They just turned off dynamic resolution outside of combat. That's not an example of a game built for one system that had a bunch of performance issues. And also, I would say Rise of the Ronin would be a better example, but again, Rise of the Ronin would be an example of a team not familiar with open world and an engine that's not really built for open world, and that's where most of the performance issues came with Rise of the Ronin. And that also was a game that was built by another team. So it wasn't a hardware issue. It was you've got to look at each individual case. And again, Rise of the Ronin, I think, shows an exception to the rule. More often than not, multi-plat games are where we run into this. That's a fact. That 100% is a fact. That is where we run into these issues. That doesn't mean multi-plat games are bad. That doesn't mean multi-plat games can't launch and be good. It just, to me, is very clear that the minute you go multi-plat, it adds all these complexities and it leads to these sorts of problems. It leads to launches where you're like, wow, it runs good here, but not there. Wow, it has this issue, it has that issue, it has this issue here. That 100% is a common occurrence in multi-plat releases. Black Myth couldn't get it smooth. Yeah, Black Myth struggled with not PC, they struggled with the console. It's not one thing. It's not PC. It's that when you're adding that many platforms to the equation, that's what ends up happening. Yeah, the FF16 quality mode was highly praised by Digital Foundry. It wasn't a hardware issue. It was a particular choice by the developer to turn off dynamic resolution when you were out of combat. When you were in combat, FF16 was a locked 60. It ran beautifully. It was the minute you were out of combat that was the issue. Imagine you're a company that makes seat covers and floor mats for cars. How much better is your work if all you make is for Honda Civics versus making for every mid-size sedan on the market? Right, you can have it like specifically built for that model, and so it's going to fit right. You can maybe even innovate within the size and like work on different things where you're not going to be able to do that if you're going for a more one-size-fits-all approach. So it's always complex. It's never one thing. That's why I think a lot of the times when we've had these discussions, people fundamentally misunderstand what I'm saying. Like I had a guy leave a comment the other day, and he was like, yeah, but according to you, it's multi-plat, so it won't be quality. And it's like, I've never said that. I mean, that's absolutely ludicrous. Some of my favorite games are on multiple platforms. Like that doesn't even add up. But again, when you come into the discussion, and that's how you're going to approach it, is you're going to whittle things down into like a very simplistic view of it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to either intentionally misunderstand or misrepresent what somebody's saying because you're like, you don't want to hear what they have to say. And it's like, I think it's completely fair to say these types of issues can be related to the engine, can be related to the devs, but a lot of the times the catalyst is it's multi-plat and they're trying to wrangle with multiple systems. That's a common thing that we've been facing this era of gaming, and nobody wants to admit it because again it runs against an ideology that's now very prevalent, which is, well, games should just be everywhere. And it's like I think that's a perfectly fine desire, but I think that's overriding people's good judgment, and they're like refuse to see that like this has been a common thing. This last 5 or 6 years, it's been a very, very common thing. When PlayStation has the largest market share, of course, you're going to find some unstable people. I mean, if you guys are going to do the whole, these fans are the worst fans, I mean, I think every group of fandom has its bad actors. I don't think you're ever going to win a contest of who has the most bad actors, who has the most toxic. I don't think you're ever going to win that. If that were true, all Nintendo games would be smooth. Yeah, you're not engaging in the conversation. You're engaging with platitudes that have not been stated. So you're straw manning. Nobody said that when you build a game for one platform, they're always smooth. So you're arguing with a phantom. No one in here said that. Again, that's a common misconception of the argument. You have just demonstrated that you're not understanding what's being stated. Thank you, Tenor Dude, with 48 months and a VIP. Thank you very much. Rolling YouTube up to 50 within 5 of Team Purple. Being a fan of hardware is weird, like being a fan of toilet paper. Well, I think worrying what people are a fan of is more weird than being a fan of something. I actually think you're the weird one. Like if somebody's really excited about the latest GPU, if somebody's really excited about the latest, fishing pole, if somebody's really excited about the latest TV model, that's just something they're excited about. You being judgmental about that is actually weird. Like, why do you care what people like and what people celebrate or gravitate to? You're the weird one. They're not weird. They 100% have every right to be excited about a particular piece of hardware or thing. You're the weird one to judge them for that. Like, you got to look in the mirror and see that you're the weird one. You're the cringe one. You're worried about what somebody else likes. If building for one platform allows for a better game and run with less issues, Nintendo games shouldn't have any issues. So that would be called a logical fallacy, what you just said. So your premise doesn't line up with your conclusion. It would be called a non sequitur. So you're saying if building for one platform allows for a better game to run with less issues, therefore Nintendo games shouldn't have any issue. So your conclusion betrays your premise. Your premise is not, and the premise that I have said, and the premise of people here, nobody has said if you build for one system, it'll have no issues. So what you're doing is you're sneaking in a false conclusion that's not in line with the premise. That's a fallacy. Your argument is defunct. Nobody has said today If you build for one system, it'll have no issues. Nobody has said that. So therefore, your conclusion is false. If you're building for one system, like let's just take it for example, like Breath of the Wild, right? Breath of the Wild achieved something that seemed impossible. They got a game of that size and scope to run on very, very weak hardware. One of the reasons they were able to do that is they were only focused on that hardware. If you actually look at like what they achieved in that game, it's actually very impressive, right? If you look at games like the recent praise for Uncharted 4, okay? You look at some of the sequences in Uncharted 4, you look at the graphical fidelity, the character models, the lighting, all of that. And people are consistently saying this game was before its time, okay? That's demonstrative of the position that when you build for one system, you end up with like things like that. You end up with things that are getting pushed to their absolute limit. It runs really well. It looks really well. It gets described as being ahead of its time. Now, you are not falsifying the position if you're like, oh, but Uncharted has some performance issues. That's not the position. The position is not that it'll be flawless. You're sneaking in some weird qualifier to be like, well, if there's any issues at all, then the position is false. You can demonstrate this with many games, and that's called a demonstrable point. You're arguing that if something has performance issues, that falsifies the claim. But you're falsifying a claim that nobody made. That's called a straw man. You're not steel manning the argument. You're straw manning the argument. You're misrepresenting the premise because you're claiming that defining a single performance issue falsifies the claim. But the claim has never been that there will not be issues. And Stone Spire is setting up a 20-bomb dunker. He can't do this quietly. If somebody wants to drop the 20-bomb to 175, try to do it before Joker Quinn ruins it. He always ruins Stone Spire's setups at 24 FPS. Imagine if the developers actually had stronger hardware to work with instead of GIMP's tablet. So now you're moving the goalpost to a completely different argument and discussion. So instead of engaging with what I said, you've now reset the parameters of the discussion. You're like, well, if the developers could have had stronger hardware to work with, imagine what they could have done. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about whether or not the developers could have done more with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was seen as insane with respect to where it landed. It ran on a very, very weak piece of hardware. So define the premise. What you're describing is a conclusion before the premise. No, now you're misrepresenting what I said, which is not surprising because you've straw-manned 3 times now. I've not done that. I've not described a conclusion before the premise. The premise is quite simple because it's mathematically provable and it's been backed by developers as well. So we have like the empirical data of when you develop for multiple platforms, you increase the likelihood of difficulty because you have added complexity to the project. This is a mathematical claim that's objective. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. Okay? This fact is corroborated by developer testimony. Okay? It's corroborated by developer testimony that when you add multiple platforms, it adds complexity and it makes it harder to add features, to innovate. It makes it harder to optimize. This is a fact. If you deny this fact, there's no reason to continue the conversation because you're in denial of reality and truth, and I don't have any interest in talking with people that do that. It's a waste of time, okay? So if you deny this basic premise, then there's no reason to continue the conversation. This is a fact, okay? So the premise goes on from there to say that multi-plat games will more commonly than deal with issues of optimization and lacking in innovation. This is demonstrated by a very common criticism uttered by the gaming community that the big, huge AAA developers and the big, huge AAA franchises, they never innovate, they never do anything new, they always do the same thing. It's always the same old, right? That's demonstrated in the market. The bigger the game, all those complexities, they don't want to deal with that, so they don't innovate that much. You get a lot of carbon copy games, get a lot of copy pasta games, okay? Then this goes even further. Excuse me. This goes even further and says if you're only making a game for one system, you will tend to see better optimized games, better looking games, better performant games, games that are innovating and look like they're before their time. You will tend to see that. This is demonstrated by games like Uncharted 4, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War 2018, Spider-Man 1, The Last of Us Part 2. All of these games, late-gen PlayStation 4 games, demonstrate that look what happens when you build for one system. All of those games were described by ahead of their time. Internally, Microsoft was like, those guys are way ahead of anything that we're doing. Okay? You come to this premise and you say, oh, but this game had some issues at launch. Okay, nobody said that there would be no issues. So you are not falsifying a claim. You are straw manning. You are attempting to contradict a point that was never made. That would be an incredibly weak argument to be like, well, if you build for one system, there'll be no issues at all. That would be foolish to even say out loud and to be serious. Nobody would say that. Nobody in their right mind would be like, yeah, if you build for one system, there'll be no issues at all. So you're falsifying a claim that has never been made. You're not engaging with the premise. And the reason that people commonly don't engage with the premise is because it is factually airtight. It's airtight, and it's corroborated by developers. This doesn't mean, this is another thing people do, they straw man. Oh, so you're saying multi-plat games can never be good? Nobody ever said that. Oh, so you're saying multi-plat games are never going to be well optimized, they're always going to be bad? No, nobody's saying that. That's more straw manning. This is a common tactic used in this discussion. People make up conclusions and they make up arguments that have never been uttered, not a single time. Like once they fixed Jedi Survivor, it was one of my favorite games that year. It was one of my favorite games that year once they fixed it. However, its launch state is emblematic of what I'm talking about. It's like this is literally what I'm talking about. Like they were building for multiple platforms. They had a deadline they had to hit, and they shoved it out. They eventually were like, we got to get the game out. Now, if they weren't doing multi-plat development and they were only building for one platform, I guarantee you that wouldn't have happened. Maybe it had some issues, but not to the degree that it did. Also, you had completely different issues and completely different problems. Jedi Survivor's issues on PC weren't even the same as the issues on console. So you see, like they were now you're trying to put out two completely different fires in two completely different buildings, something that you don't have to do when you build for one platform. So nobody is saying multi-plat's devil, exclusives are the savior. It's not that dichotomous. See, that's the problem is when you argue with people who argue within dichotomistic ideals, and they're like, well, that's what gaming's all about. Games should be everywhere. Exclusives are bad. Okay, you're dealing with somebody who's dealing in like this dichotomous ideal. And it's like, well, it's got to be this or it's bad. They assume I'm doing the same thing when I argue against that. And I'm like, actually, no, exclusives have a history of being great and pushing the envelope, being ahead of the curve, and being ahead of their time, and being better optimized. There's a pattern of that, right? That doesn't mean you can't have amazing multi-plat games. There's a long list of great multi-plat games that come out. See, but you're approaching it in a dichotomous way, so you're assuming that I'm saying exclusives are the only good games and multi-plats are bad. We can also point to multi-platforms that are ahead of their time. Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk. You type Cyberpunk non-ironically. You type Skyrim non-ironically. Games that launch with a litany of problems and bugs that had to be fixed over time. You typed Elden Ring non-ironically. You typed Witcher 3 non-ironically. Multi-plat games that launch with bugs and problems that had to be fixed. Goodness gracious. Are you arguing for my side? Are you arguing for my side? Baldur's Gate 3 literally was in early access for a really long time, and even it launched with problems when you got to Act 3. Goodness gracious, you just made my case stronger. now launching with performance issues to take into consideration. I would say describing Cyberpunk, Baldur's Gate 3, Skyrim, Elden Ring, and The Witcher 3 as just having performance issues, I would say that's a gross overstatement. Those games had significant problems. Significant problems. Baldur's Gate 3, again, was also in early access. Cyberpunk got removed from a store, it was in such bad shape. Witcher 3 basically had to go on a PR campaign of like giving free content and stuff. Like, minor performance issues in Spider-Man 2 are not equal to any of the issues we saw in Cyberpunk or The Witcher 3 or Skyrim at launch. These were games that had significant bugs and problems. Even Baldur's Gate 3, Act 3 was a significant problem. Like, people were like, yeah, it's pretty bad. This wasn't like a minor open world glitch or like a minor open world issue that we saw in like Spider-Man 2. We didn't see any performance issues to the degree in those games in Ragnarok, Returnal, Ratchet & Clank, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man 1, God of War 2018. None of those games launched even remotely close to the state of the games that you just listed, brother. It would be completely intellectually dishonest to act like any of those games launched even close to Cyberpunk, Witcher 3, Skyrim. Like, none of those games launched even close to that. Massive worlds with large branching stories doing what no exclusives do. Okay. Baldur's Gate 3 is certainly this massive exception to what we typically see in a game's depth, breadth, and quality, and they deserve tons of credit for that. You prove my point by having to run to Baldur's Gate 3. It's like people that run to Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like an anomaly. It's like the average multi-plat game isn't doing that. It's one of the reasons that Baldur's Gate 3 was so highly praised. Baldur's Gate 3 was highly praised and celebrated because it was so anomalous. It was like, there's almost no games like this. What is this? This is insane. Red Dead Redemption 2, another game at just like an insane high level of quality, and to this day is heavily praised. That's why people want a 60 FPS mode added to it, because people to this day love that game. Again, these games are exceptions to the rule. They prove the rule. They prove the rule. See, again, nobody is demonizing multiplats. We're making a mathematical statement. It should be very cold and dispassionate. It shouldn't be so controversial to say that when you build a game for multiple systems, you increase the likelihood of problems and you choke out innovation and feature add. The developer from Deep Rock Galactic Survivor just said this recently, that the minute you go multiplat, it absolutely slows down feature add, it absolutely slows down development, and it's very costly. This guy's talking about Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. He's not talking about some massive open world game with complex systems and AI and, well, I mean, there's AI, but like the loot and the aggro and all the systems within a game like Horizon Zero Dawn or something like that. Like, come on. Like, this should not be controversial. It should be a mathematical claim, and that's where it should stop. It's not a demonization of multiplat. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 did the same. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is an excellent game that'll likely get a Game of the Year nomination. Joker Quinn, I totally missed you. You ruined Stone Spire's setup, and I totally missed it. I'm sorry. We're at 156. That makes the 20 bomb and Agents of Chaos. Somebody ruin Joker Quinn's ruin. Somebody do it. Somebody drop the 20 bomb. Somebody ruin his ruin. We're a little off topic, but I think this is actually a very, very related topic because we're hearing that Borderlands 4 performance issues are prevalent. And I've just got on this subject to be like, this is, again, something that we've seen a lot this gen, is that multi-plat games have issues, and they're not the same everywhere. If I have issues on my PS5, it's not going to probably be the same issues that some of you guys have on your PCs. And that's the difficulty. That's the frustration point that people are feeling. I agree multi-plat development is more complex, but things are getting better. Unreal is designed with this in mind. If the developers use a single code base, this saves them lots of time. They will need to manage platform-specific logic, but the engines are moving towards multi-platform, not being so much more complex. I don't think there's evidence of what you're saying at all, Hilly. I don't. Because with NVIDIA and AMD investing in their own upscaling tech, their own things like FrameGen and Reflex and the third, I don't think what you're saying is true. I don't think we're going toward an easier... I don't think we're moving in that direction at all. I think we're seeing a demonstration that that's not true. By using platform-specific logic, it means you're leaving performance on the table. I hope you're right, Hilly. I hope you're right and I'm wrong. Because there are some really, really big multi-plat games coming, like The Witcher 4 and others. And man, oh man, do I hope you're right. I hope they get better at this so that, you know, imagine more and more games come out and they're closer to the level of like the excellence we've seen from like a Rockstar or like a Naughty Dog or a Santa Monica. Regardless of what platform you cheer for, you have to see that platforms like, you know, Rockstar obviously with their titles, especially with like Red Dead 2, and then titles that like Naughty Dog has put out. It's really, really hard not to think, man, these guys absolutely kill it. If we got more and more multi-plat games at that level of innovation, fidelity, and performance, that would certainly be worth celebrating. It would be amazing if a game came out and had performance issues, and that was the exception. That would be an amazing time for gamers. It would be amazing if the game companies could just focus on innovation. This is something that, gamers complain about all the time. They're like, oh man, these new games, they just don't innovate. They don't do anything new. If Hilly's right and the engines start to simplify this, well, then maybe they could start to focus on those things. But I think that's an issue, right? The issue is they end up having to kind of stick with what's tried and true because it's like, well, we're going to have to optimize and we're going to have to test and we're going to have to debug, and that can cause issues. That can slow things down. Doesn't Rockstar focus on console first? They do. Yes. GTA 6 will be, console first. Glad to see you back on Twitch. Used to watch all the time back in the D2 days. Yo, Brodo Fraggins with 5,000 bits. That is so generous. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. You are on a brand new account, which I don't know what your name was back in the day. I wanted to kind of see your chat logs. I appreciate that support so much. Guys, one of the best ways to support right now, especially on YouTube, is to click join and grab a member plus. Do a $6 membership. YouTube's been a bit crazy. It seems to be restabilizing, but having a group of folks that support the channel directly, that is how I do this full time. There's been some pretty big folks out there that have put out videos and they're like, hey, help us out, support our Patreon. We keep it here. We keep the content here. I don't want to do that. I love the idea of like, you get a membership here, you get into the Discord, you get into extra content, and that supports me directly. So consider doing that if you can. The single code base only helps with game assets and the core stuff at the start. Developers still have multiple versions of optimization, etc., but the initial code would be in the past and have been built from the ground up for each platform. I don't know enough to know whether or not what you're saying is generally accurate because everything's always moving forward, And Brodo Fraggins gets a gifted member from Cardoc Ren. Thank you so much, Cardoc Ren, for doing that. Getting us to 157. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Wait. That was the wrong. I gave it to the wrong team. It's 53 to 56. Twitch is still in the lead. Brodo Fraggins. It is a great name, isn't it? Yeah, the Borderlands 4 reviews should be tomorrow. We're hearing that is when the embargo is. And so we will do a Borderlands 4 review roundup. We'll do a Borderlands 4 we'll probably do a Borderlands 4 review, like waiting room. We'll sit around, we'll wait for them to drop. They'll drop, we'll look at them. And that'll be a great way to spend our time tomorrow. We will be jumping into Borderlands 4 gameplay this week. We will be doing that this week. So that will be well worth our time. And I'm a huge Borderlands fan. My wife's a huge Borderlands fan, so that's what the goal down in the corner is. When we hit that goal, there'll be a Friday night stream. My wife and I'll be playing for you guys. Should you pre-order Borderlands 4 or wait? I always think you're better off waiting and looking at the reviews and the streamers. I generally don't encourage people to pre-order anything right now. Preloading is nice, but if the reviews drop tomorrow, you'll be able to make a pretty educated decision on whether or not you should pre-order, right? You'll at least be more informed. That would be my advice. There's no reason to there's no reason to jump right now. You don't, right? Why did it start a hype train? We're at a level 4 hype train on Twitch. If you guys want to roll it over, you got 4 minutes, and you could help us secure the next milestone. Thank you so much. There's not really an impetus for you to do anything right now. You know, there really isn't. There is not a reason for you to do anything right now with Borderlands. You can wait. We know there's reviews tomorrow. We know that we'll get a good picture of the game tomorrow. Yeah, Twitch is winning right now. Yeah. YouTube is 3 behind. Yes. My girlfriend and 3-year-old are going to hate me when it drops. So way back in the day, before Borderlands 2 came out, my wife and I had been playing games together like Mario Galaxy and Castle Crashers and stuff like that. And I told her, I said, I would really like to play this new game when it comes out with you. And it's coming out in like 2 months or something like that. And I was like, why don't we play Borderlands 1 together and see if you can get to a place where you like it? And so I said, listen, I'll have you play as the Siren. And when you play as a Siren, if things get too crazy, you can hit this button, you can do this thing, and you'll disappear. Right? And I would give her scoped weapons so she could kind of sit back. So to this day, she loves scoped weapons. Like if we're playing a game, she wants the weapon to have a scope. It's something that she likes. I'm going to pause the pesky thing that can sometimes be a little bit of a nuisance on the platform. Sorry about that. If you guys haven't hit the like button yet, do me a favor and hit that like button. I appreciate you guys so much. So we played Borderlands 1 and we had a wonderful time. In fact, she's one of the only people I've ever seen get or report to getting a backpack upgrade from a dumpster. So now, anytime my wife and I play a game, she opens up everything. Every chest, every locker. She'll break every box, every bush, you know, because she was opening these dumpsters, and I'm like, come on, babe. And then, lo and behold, right there in the dumpster was a backpack upgrade. Now, if you remember, backpack upgrades were only earnable by dealing with the broken claptraps in BL1. And she found one in a dumpster. So now every game we play, she opens up everything. And I'm like, come on. She's like, backpack upgrade. And I'm like, ugh. I think your wife may be ruined. You may need to just get a new one. Why? I played Borderlands 1 for the first time for New Year's Eve party. We stayed up for 2 days straight to complete it. It's such a good one. What are we talking about now currently? Borderlands. It's coming out this week, you know. Somebody was asking if they should pre-order. That would be infuriating. What? Having her open up everything and we can't really advance without... Yeah. We've played a handful of games where I'm just like, okay, we've got to go. You got to stop. Because she just does it. She wants to break everything. If you guys didn't see her gameplay in Starfield, you really missed out. That's a great reason to be a member for those Friday night streams. She literally played Starfield, and I'd never seen this happen before. When she realized she could pick everything up, she wanted to pick everything up. But then she realized she was going to get over-encumbered. So she was handing everything to the robot, to Bosco. And eventually, all of a sudden, he was like crouching. And she overloaded him. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do that in Starfield, where they gave too much to the robot. Loot goblins. Yeah, I watched a really great video this morning from a channel where he had his girlfriend play The Last of Us, and it was a really, really great playthrough. And it seemed like that was kind of the premise of the channel. The premise of the channel was, it's called Boy Meets Girl. Taryn and Nick, they've got a ton of subscribers. So they have her play games, basically. And 2 days ago, he said, my girlfriend asked me if The Last of Us was any good. So, really, really good video. Yeah, that's why Vasco was over-encumbered. This is correct. Yes. And during her playthrough, she was a loot goblin. His girlfriend was a loot goblin. So, yes, I watched the newest Jack Saints. As soon as it hit 8 days ago, I watched it. It was excellent. Yeah. I love Jack Saints videos. He's awesome. I think he's very, very funny. He's a very gifted writer and a very gifted communicator. I enjoy his content quite a bit. Yeah. You played Tiny Tina Wonderlands? Did you like it? I don't know. My wife and I tried to get into it and we just couldn't. Yeah. We just couldn't. You seen the most recent chit videos? Okay, so from a comedic perspective, I worry they're jumping the shark in slow motion because it's turned into like a miniature sitcom, which props to them. They're still getting good viewership and it seems like people are still really enjoying the bit. But it is feeling a little bit like a miniature sitcom. Like they go all the way to the headquarters. They're trying to save the company from being sold and all that. I don't know. I think short form comedy is significantly challenging, and I think he's got a great bit, and I think people love him, and I think maybe they just want to make sure they don't get stagnant, you know. I think they want to make sure it just doesn't get stagnant, so that's why they're going the direction that they're going. So I'm still enjoying it, but it doesn't have the same comedic punch that it once did. Because I think some of it is they're getting long. They're getting really, really long, and so the comedic punch is not as potent. He's more of a character in a show than a character in a bit. Does that make sense? It would be kind of like taking an SNL skit where you have a character that's really, really funny, like when What's-His-Face would do Stefan on Weekend Update. It would be like suddenly putting Stefan in a really, really long skit where he's going around and doing different things. I think that kind of sometimes can be too much. It's like, well, this doesn't work now, if that makes sense. I love it. I love him. I love them. I think they're great. I think they're super creative. I just, it could run its course pretty quickly if they're not careful. Again, like I said, it feels like they're jumping the shark in slow motion. It doesn't feel like they're just jumping the shark. It's like a slow process of like, this is becoming something that it didn't initially start out as. It started out as a bit, and now it's becoming a show, and it might not be able to do that. So, because I think once the comedic potency gets thinned out, a reminder to create content for Gears of War Reloaded. I did. Talking about, I did make content for it. That's why a lot of SNL movies based on skits were never that funny. Yeah, it overstretches it. It does. It overstretches it big time. There's a way to submit coverage on Keymailer, and I can't remember how to do it. They sent me, I got a code for Gears, and I streamed it. I don't know what the heck they're doing. There should be a way for me to coverage from keys. There we go. Search. Use title. Yeah, I don't get why it's not giving me credit. I don't know when they gave me the key. Content deadline is September the 16th. It needs to be on purple. I don't understand. I did it. I found this platinum guide for Silksong, 100% guide. Might follow it. Do you watch Drewski? I've seen his skits and stuff on Twitter. Like, I don't like go out of my way for Drewski. I think his stuff's pretty funny. Gears is a lot of fun. I've never played it now, but I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure I understand why it's doing this. Hang on. Redeemed Gears. I mean, I played Gears for you guys. Excuse me. You accepted this on August the 26th. Okay, so it would have to be after that? On purple? Okay. I did it. I don't understand. Oh. How do you enable membership gifting on mobile? I'm not sure. And we want more Gears. You think we're satisfied? Well, I played it with Madam. When did we play that with Madam? When was that? I could probably just set that and let them and just use that. Madam and I played it. I can't remember when we did that though. I feel like that was recent. That was on August the 29th. Morning coffee, late night, Madam. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. So, Gears of War Reloaded. Because we played that together that night. So maybe that'll trigger it. That might trigger the coverage. We'll see. I thought it was the week it launched. Yeah, we got the key and then I covered it. I had already bought it, so maybe they're not counting the first one because maybe I played it before they sent it or something. But yeah, we'll see. That was on the 29th as well. It's saying that it's available to everyone. It's not a sub-only VOD either. So, I don't know. I feel like Madam and I enjoyed it. We actually really, really enjoyed, if you remember, we enjoyed Revenge of the Savage Planet. If you guys didn't play that one. So maybe I have to add this to the description. I'll add that to the description. Maybe that'll do it. We'll see. I want them to bring back Ain't No Rest for the Wicked theme song. I know they won't. No, they Borderlands 4 definitely is going to have an open with a cool song. And yeah, I believe they will. You didn't like Revenge of the Savage Planet? Madam and I had a good time with it. I mean, it was very simplistic. Like, there wasn't a lot to it. It certainly wasn't a... It certainly wasn't like a Borderlands. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we really, really enjoy Borderlands, and we'll put a ton of time into Borderlands. Like, Revenge of the Savage Planet is a very, very straightforward, just like goofy co-op game. My son even asked me, he's like, do you think I would enjoy that? And I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't think that you would like it. And, you know, because he's been playing like the goofy Fortnite games. And I've tried to tell them, you know, to stay away from those because I'm like, a lot of the times they're not going to work, you know. I have it here with no problem, just curious. Okay. Felt very early access to me. I mean, they ended up polishing it quite a bit and fixing it. You know, we played it after they added the performance mode, and it certainly had some minor stutters here and there, But I thought overall it ran really, really well. I didn't feel like we had any major issues. Now, obviously, it wasn't the best. Like, it wasn't the best. There were certainly some performance issues and some stutters that kind of frustrated me. Yo, Sam Runkle with the VIP and 31 months, getting us to 158. Man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is going to put us at 54 to 56. It's such a close race between the platforms. Twitch currently in the lead with 56, and it's 54 between the two. And appreciate you guys so much, continuing to renew your memberships, upgrade your memberships, and gift as well. We currently have, in the realm of those of you that have Member Plus and above, we currently have, I think, 501. So we have dropped to almost exactly 500. We would like that to be at 600. That's our next milestone. We always do a big celebration and an IRL stream. So if you want to help us hit that goal, you can upgrade. And that is super, super helpful. So we appreciate you guys so much. Those of you that have upgraded the VIP into Plus and enjoy all that extra content. It wasn't terrible, but in 2025, I'm moving on. I think that's one of the biggest challenges right now for games. Like, I think this is something that Borderlands 4 certainly has to consider. It's got to consider the fact that, like, listen, you better be at a really, really good quality, and you better be really, really good. Because if you're not, people are justifiably just going to move on to something else. They're just going to move on to something else. There's so many games. And I think that's always going to be a challenge going forward, is the games that are available and the games that are coming out. I think it's just going to increase with time. I think it's going to increase with time. There's going to be, I don't think this is going to slow down next year. I don't think it's going to slow down anytime. I think there's going to be a consistent, there's going to be a pretty consistent issue here that you're going to find people saying there's just too many games. I don't want to play this. There's too many games, or I'm going to switch to this. I think you're going to consistently see that. All games are competing for my time, not only with games but other hobbies. It makes it really easy to pick and choose which are worthy. Yeah. Like, I don't think the deluge this year is it's not letting me. This is so weird. I don't think it's going to slow down. I think you'll see it continue into next year. Just a constant, steady stream of games, which is, I think that's a challenge. Like, if your game comes out and is like a 75 across the board, user scores, review scores, Metacritic, OpenCritic, all of it. I think in general, I think folks are going to say, I'm not playing this. It's not good enough. There's so many other games coming out. I think being like an okay game is gonna make things hard for a lot of people, because you've got games that come out that are just so dense, they're so large, they're so huge. Like Lost Soul Aside. Like Lost Soul Aside was just like, this isn't great. This is not a, this is not like a high quality game. And it's fine. And then it'll quickly be, people will just like quickly dismiss it. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like, that means that like excellence will rise to the top. But it certainly is worrying for developers that are like, well, we made a fine game. We made an okay game, and we're largely going to get ignored because of it. And I think that is a challenge going forward. AAA devs face an issue as well. Buy one AAA game for 70 plus, or do gamers start buying several indies for the same price? Right. There's almost no time to catch up on the backlog. There's still a very likely chance that Hades 2 is coming this year. Maybe a date showed in the rumored Nintendo Direct. Yeah, at this point, we're waiting for some pretty big announcements. Like, if is there a Nintendo Direct coming, and is there a PlayStation State of Play? Like, I think those are two things right now that are kind of in a bit of a holding pattern for people, because I know that both of those rumors are coming from sources that have typically gotten these things correct. So, Acclaim Studios is doing a presentation tomorrow. Middle of the road games and unoptimized games are in a bad place because there are so many things pulling at your attention. It's just too much to spend time on with something lukewarm. Agreed. Indies don't provide the experience I'm after. There's no choice for me. I don't think people realize how niche indies are. They aren't threatening AAA. Yeah, I don't think they're threatening AAA. This was an issue that we saw, commonly trumpeted by folks. Like, they were really saying that, like, these smaller games and these smaller studios, these Eastern studios, were going to take over. And it's just like, I definitely think we've had some breakout hits, and we'll continue to see that. But I don't think it's like a threat. I don't think you're going to see this lopsided thing happen. I do think consumers benefit, because if you would prefer to buy, $20, $30 blah, blah, blah games, like, you're certainly in a position to make that decision as the consumer. Like, you're more empowered than ever to not be out here buying $70 games. There's no pressure. You can just wait, or buy indies, or buy smaller titles. You have more choice now probably than you ever have before. They're not threatening AAA, but there's a group more poised to grow instead of AAA. Yeah, they certainly have room to go up, and not and AAA tend to struggle with that. They tend to go down over time. I'm going to need a quick break. I'm going to need a very quick break. I was going to shift gears and throw you guys at an upload, but we can keep going. We can keep talking. We can also talk Borderlands 4. I've got some information about PlayStation 6 as well that I need to talk about. And then I do have something about Silksong that I'm going to send you guys to, but not just yet. All right, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Keep working on the like count and the member goal. Y'all are the best. Nice, strong day today. Thank you so much. I'll be right back. You can call games with updated and DLC also games of service at this point. I don't know if I've really not kept a consistent position on this. I think there was a time where I was like, yeah, if they add DLC over time, that's kind of an ongoing game or a live service game. But like, excuse me. I don't know. I don't think it's that simple. I feel like the actual format of the game and the structure of the game's content needs to be built around that. Does that make sense? Like from the bottom to the top, it needs to be built around ongoing. Like, so Borderlands 4, for an example. Is Borderlands 4 a live service game? Like, I think it's got live service elements, but I don't feel like they built Borderlands 4 around you need to keep playing. Destiny was built around you need to keep playing. The seasonal format of Diablo was built around you need to keep playing. You don't need to keep playing Borderlands. You could play the snot out of it for a month or two, make multiple characters, do multiple playthroughs, and then put it down. It's literally designed like a more traditional game in that respect. Like, you don't have to keep playing. Now, they've structured the game to allow for that. Like the open world, adding areas, weekly challenges, wildcard missions, drop rate, farming, all of that is certainly designed that if you want, it is there. But like, Destiny was literally built, Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, these games were built for you to play and play and play and play and play, 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 play. There was no like, oh no, yeah, you can totally play it, finish and be done and walk away. They weren't really designed with that in mind. Now, there were people that played Destiny like that. There were people that played Destiny like that. They just, they would play the campaign, they would play the new DLC, and then they would put it down. But generally speaking, like, I don't think like the core elements of the design philosophy that went into Borderlands 4 gameplay, I don't think it's like a live service game. I read the main story of Borderlands 4 is 25 to 35 hours. That seems like a little too much before reaching Endgame. Maybe they made it a little bit longer because once you get to that point, you can just make characters that will be level 30. And you can just jump into the end game. Like, you're not going to need to replay it more than once. You're never going to feel that need. You're never going to feel the cause, or you're never going to feel like, oh yeah, I definitely need to go back and play through the campaign again. I mean, if you want to, you can, but yeah, I actually think that's totally fine that they have it set up that way. I think that's great. I would say, that means you're going to get quite a bit out of it, I would hope. Sometimes I like helping newbies through the campaign stuff if I have time. Yeah, I wonder if like the central hub of like matchmaking and stuff is going to create any semblance of like community and people matchmaking and playing together. You know what I mean? I'd be curious if that comes out of this. So what is the end game of Borderlands? So the end game of Borderlands is you can go into Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, and then there's multiple difficulties within Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. And when you're in there, you can do something called a wildcard mission that when you do it, will open up the next difficulty. Now, in order for you to do that, you're going to have to get really, really strong loot. Like, you're not just going to be able to just go run a wildcard mission and just walk through it like it's nothing. So, you're going to have to grind for gear to get stronger to then go do the wildcard mission, and it'll unlock the next difficulty. So, I think they're trying to create an element of like you're gearing up to go up. I've described this as a spiral staircase. You gear up to go up, you gear up to go up, right? And then they're going to have more of those things later. Like they're going to have like seasonal stuff, like these like battle pass like things to grind. and level that you can redo them over and over again to get different versions of the guns to drop, the legendary items to drop. There will be new places to go, new missions to run, and a new Vault Hunter. That'll be in the first quarter of 2026, and then another one in the future as well. So that's all available there for you. Like the Borderlands 4 gameplay, like loop, will be grinding certain activities to get better stuff, to get stronger, to min-max certain things like specializations, and something that they called firmware, and then also getting better gear. Now the cool thing they said is if you got like a really, really killer gun in tier 1 difficulty, it will behave like a tier 5 gun when you get to tier 5. Astacross said this in his video. So he seemed to indicate that like you wouldn't be out here like re-grinding for gear, if that makes sense. Live service could be the next big thing, though. For what, though, exactly? In what realm? I mean, live service already is really big. What do you mean it could be the next big thing? Oh, liver service. Liver service could be the next big thing. This is true, yes. Yeah, liver. It's an unfortunate typo. An unfortunate typo. If you guys have enjoyed today's conversation, you've enjoyed the fact that I'm safe for work, consider hitting subscribe, consider hitting the bell button. That does help out the video. It's totally free to hit subscribe, to hit the bell button. It's totally free to hit the like button. We could, for the first time in a while, hit a really high like count today. We could get to the 400 likes. And I need to do this because I did this in the show open and we need a timestamp for it. So I do want to kind of react to this PlayStation 6 situation. So we have brand new information coming out about the PlayStation 6. They're planning to have a detachable disk drive on launch. Now, there's a lot of different opinions about whether or not consoles should have disk drives. There's regions of the world where physical sales are still very strong because, the internet infrastructure, internet speeds are not quite where they would need to be. People don't want to sit around and wait forever for these ever-growing games to download. But I want to take a quick look at this Insider Gaming article. It is an exclusive from Tom Henderson over there. And we know that Tom Henderson gets reliable information about PlayStation. He recently had remarks about Wolverine. He's heard very good things. It's ready to be shown. We're going to get a state of play in September, so we're either going to see Wolverine there or at the Game Awards. And the reason that we can rely on his PlayStation stuff is he leaked the PlayStation Q Lite first, which ended up being the Portal, and the PlayStation 5 Pro, which ended up being real, and people doubted him. Insider Gaming has learned that the PlayStation 6 is planning to have a detachable disk drive when the console launches. First introduced mid-generation for the PlayStation 5 and exclusively reported by Insider Gaming in September of 2022, the detachable disk drive was a means for PlayStation to reduce its production and shipping costs. What this does is it unifies the SKU, it unifies the model. Like, everybody that goes and buys a PlayStation 6 is going to have the same base model, one where the drive's not there unless you have it bundled, and then it can be, obviously attached. And keep in mind, this was exclusively reported by Insider Gaming back in September about the PS5, shrinking down to one SKU. So again, they get really reliable information. So this shouldn't be that surprising to anybody. For the next generation of PlayStation, several sources who wish to remain anonymous because they were not authorized to speak about the company plans have said that the detachable disk drive is here to stay for the next generation. Identical to the PlayStation 5 and its detachable disk drive, customers will be able to buy the console individually as a digital console, bundle with the PlayStation 6 as a traditional console, or upgrade later by purchasing the detachable disk drive separately. Now, I'm all digital now. I really, really don't have a desire to deal with physical any longer. Like, even if I do a collector's edition, I don't mind it not coming with a disc. I don't think they should be calling those collector's editions. I think they should say we have collector's merch and then, games sold separately. I think when you use the word edition, it's confusing. So I do think they should move away from that. But generally speaking, I don't need physical games anymore. I'm happy to be all digital. I know there are people that are different on this, but the good news is you will have that physical option when you buy a PlayStation 6 next gen. According to one source, unless things are changed at the last minute, PlayStation is firm on the decision because the disk drive for the PlayStation 5 hit all the company's internal targets. Again, it was reiterated by the source that the decision was made to reduce manufacturing and shipping costs during uncertain times, likely referring to tariff and a trade war. So this is another thing that these tech companies are dealing with. They are dealing with the ever-changing landscape of a global economy that can get hit with tariffs and different things that maybe, increase their production costs. So this is another way of lowering production costs. You have one model that's being made, and then the actual disk drives are then made separately and then sold separately or bundled, which if that keeps production costs down, that is actually good for the consumer. So I'm sure you could look at this and say this is anti-consumer. They're making it to where they can nickel and dime you. But if internally they're like, we're doing this to lower production costs, that is actually not directly in service to the consumer. It's in direct service to them. But that means that they are very well aware they have to keep competitive pricing on whatever they come out with next gen, which I don't think that would mean they're going to raise the price to some absurd level. These uncertain times have seemingly influenced PlayStation's decision on the look of the next PlayStation 2, as rumbling suggests that this time around the PlayStation 6 will have a much simpler design than its predecessor, again, to maximize efficiency, shipping space, weight, and so on. I have always said the PlayStation 5 is one of the ugliest consoles I've ever seen. It looks like a Wi-Fi router from Sharper Image or something. So I would take a much more trimmed down and slimmed down form factor for sure. Even as late as this month, we can expect PlayStation to introduce the new PlayStation 5 Slim revision to the market, which will launch with an 825 gig hard drive instead of the standard 1 terabyte. It's also believed, like with all PlayStation 5 revisions, the new revision will reduce the console weight, indicating that PlayStation is trying to save pennies where and when necessary. This is returning to the launch version hard drive, by the way. They upped it to 1 terabyte, and now they're lowering it back to what it was at launch. While the news of a detachable disk drive may not be shocking to some, it's the best of both worlds as it allows PlayStation to cater to both physical and digital markets while reducing costs. The plans mean the physical games are here to stay at least for the next generation with the PlayStation 6. What do you think about the PlayStation 6 having a detachable disk drive? Yeah, I mean, I obviously have my own thoughts about this. If they're able to keep costs down, and there's a bunch of us that have switched to digital only, I think that's great. Obviously, they're continuing to have the physical option there for folks who want physical, which is something I think worthy to celebrate if you're one of the people that continues to like to buy physical, especially if you're in a market that needs physical. So as it stands now, the PlayStation 6 is going to continue that trend, and hopefully the costs don't get astronomical and a lot of this tariff stuff can end. All right, I wanted to make sure we had that in the video with a timestamp. I know that's not really related to Borderlands 4, but I wanted to make sure that was in the video since I included that in the show open. And when people watch the show open, sometimes they're going to be looking for those timestamps later for that coverage, and they're going to be curious as to what's going on with that. The size of the Series S, I don't know if they're going to necessarily shrink it down, but I definitely think they could conserve a lot of space not having it shaped in the way that it is shaped. The way that the PS5 is shaped certainly adds to its size and box and shipping. I mean, that's undeniable. It's kind of gaudy, if I'm honest. I'm definitely 40 years old because I know what Sharper Image is gaming. Oh, shut the frick up, Lobo. What, do people not know what Sharper Image is? We used to have one in our mall, and it's gone now. It is gone now. I prefer physical disc and wait for releases when needed to get my disc. So this is good. The way the PS5 was made was for the heatsink. Looks small in the picture with the controller. Oh, that was probably AI, Hilly. That was just like a made up image. If you guys are just tuning in, we've been talking about Borderlands 4. Now, tomorrow, we will likely be doing a Borderlands 4 review roundup. The embargo ends tomorrow from what we're hearing. So if you're just tuning in, there's also a goal down in the corner. You can help us with that goal. Do your renewals, do your primes, do your gifteds. If we hit that goal, Madam and I, my wife and I, have to play Borderlands this Friday night. And her name's Madam Crumpet, which is literally from Borderlands 2. We took inspiration from Tiny Tina. My wife loves Borderlands, and she loves Tiny Tina, so you can help us with that goal. You can also help us get to 400 likes. Thank you guys so much for getting us closer and closer to that. Your support today has been incredible. You can also subscribe to the channel for free. Subscribing doesn't cost anything. following. Doesn't cost anything over there on Purple. You can do that. Remember going to Walmart as a kid and playing the game demos on the Nintendo 64 or whatever system was there at the store while your parents shopped. You know, my kids like to do that now at Target with, there's usually a Switch there. Yeah. What's a mall? Oh my gosh. PS5 is ugly. I wall mounted it behind my TV. I'm late to the party. Borderlands 4, yay or nay? I think you'll have a better picture of whether or not Borderlands 4 is worthy of purchase tomorrow when the reviews drop. That would be my recommendation. And you know, if you're subbed to the channel, you can tune in tomorrow, and you'll be able to see what people are saying tomorrow. I'll do a roundup for you. We'll look at what folks are saying, and we'll see where it lands. We'll see where it lands, and that should be a good indication about whether or not you can pre-order. I tend to encourage people to not pre-order. I tend to encourage people to do not pre-order. That is a significant thing that you are in power to do now. You do not have to pre-order. So, and I was gonna switch gears here in about 12 minutes, but we've had a slight bit of a bounce back right now. If you guys want to keep the stream going, if we hit 200 members on the day, we can extend. Sometimes I put the stream in your hands and say, hey, we can extend if you guys want to hit the goal. You want to end at 200 and be on pace, so you can help us with that. If not, I've got more things planned for you guys as well, especially if you're a paying member. We've got more content planned for you, as well as an upload as well. I think the PS5 design, and even more so the PS5 Pro design, you think it looks sick? You like it? You like the look of it, Joker Quinn? Yeah, I've never been a big fan of it. I think the plates are cool. I do think the design afforded them the opportunity to do like these big, huge, plates on the side with, cool artwork. I had the Spider-Man plates before I sold mine. But I do think it affords them the opportunity to do that. But I also think that it would be cooler if it was a little bit more like trimmed down form factor. I think that the Series X, honestly, I've always liked the look of the Series X. It, like, if you've got like a nice entertainment system, or you got like a nice TV, nice room setup, you set the Series X like right there on a shelf, on a speaker, or something. I think it looks nice. It's got a good form factor. It's got a good, matte finish. No Yote plates. I had to kind of stop. I didn't get any Yote plates. No. I don't know. I've had to kind of pump the brakes on stuff like that. Big disagree, just a big box. Yeah, but it blends in. Like if you've got shelving or an entertainment center or something, like the Series X blends in. The PS5, again, it looks like a Wi-Fi router. It's like, what is that over there? I don't know. A lot of the times, if you look at like entertainment centers, and back when you had like DVD players and receivers and things of that nature, speakers and stuff, it was black, square. I like that. Yeah, I'm very much a fan of like minimalism. I don't like a lot of stuff. Almost want a plate that makes it flat, so you can put things on top of it. That actually would be kind of cool. There's a fine line between minimalist and bland. Yeah, I don't think I need my electronics to be anything but bland. Like it's just going to sit there, and it's a tool, right? It does its job. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's room for disagreement here. It's completely subjective. That's just always been my thought, is something nice, simple, and trimmed down is better. You'll complain if the next Xbox looks like these, I think. If the next Xbox looks like what? Look to your right, stuff on the floor in a pile, not on a shelf. Yeah, that's right. I don't look over there. I don't look over there. I look at my TV. I look at my entertainment center. I don't look over there. Series X is too simple, in my opinion. Not that it matters. It's true. I don't play my PlayStation 5. I play the games that are on it. No, for sure. I'm just saying, if you have like a really nice entertainment center, like a really nice wall, you know. I think that the Series X just kind of blends into the decor, and the PlayStation's just like, bang. It's like, what is that thing over there? It's hilarious because your Series X looks exactly like my Spectrum router. It actually does look like my Spectrum router, just larger. That is true. I never thought about that. Yeah, routers used to look kind of wild and kind of crazy, and then they kind of went back to being just more like basic, like box factor. It's a conversation starter. I mean, it is. It is. You want people to like the things that they buy. I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean, I don't know about you. When I buy something and it has like really cool packaging, that totally plays a role in my like enjoyment of the product. Like, that presentation is significant. It matters. Sometimes you pull out that little thing, that little sleeve, that little box, that little whatever, it's kind of nice. Like it makes it more memorable, honestly. Really nice packaging. I think the Series X box and packaging was also better than the PS5. I love that box, and like, the foam. It's easier to transport. Like if you're, putting it in there to take somewhere, it's a lot easier to transport. Series X also uses 2010 technology. What are you talking about? What do you mean it uses 2010 technology? The unboxing for the Series X was premium, but that's where the goodness ended. It's unfortunate. The only reason mine gets turned on now is it simplifies my kiddos playing Fortnite. Like, it just simplifies it, and we don't have to do any finagling. PS5 packaging was not exciting. Flimsy cardboard box. The cartoons. Oh, the cartons were the toughest part. Yeah, they were. The packaging for the Switch 2 was stinking terrible. Staplegate over there at GameStop would have never happened if they didn't have that dadgum screen of the Switch 2 like right up against really thin cardboard. I was kind of impressed there wasn't like a ton of people getting Switch 2 shipped to them with cracked screens. I mean, it was right up against it. Ooh. Oh. There's a potential new Batman Arkham. Really? Another Batman Arkham game is reportedly in the works at Camouflage. A newly leaked project is understood to be a sequel to Batman Arkham Shadow. Is a virtual reality. Oh, that's a VR game. The frick out of my feed. I don't care about that. That was like that Deadpool game. I was like, oh, no way, a Deadpool game. And as soon as I saw it was VR, it was just like, wah, wah. I sleep now? Yeah. I really did like my VR. I did. I used it a lot. And then every game I've played recently, it's always so frustrating. We played the horror VR game that one time. Nothing worked right. Madam and I played that VR game on Steam, and she was like using her phone to guide me through it. That didn't work right. We got stuck. There was 2 VR ports in a row that I got for my VR 2 that ran like just absolute crap. It was so frustrating, because VR is really, really fun. Like, I like it. I had a lot of good, I had a good time with a lot of a lot of things that they did. And it was like there was a lot of great games. Like that Synapse game was so fun. It was. It was really, really fun. PS5 packaging is good for the environment. Microsoft doesn't care about that because they got in trouble for illegally dumping electronics underground in Africa. Man, you're always on something there. You're always on something, Andrew. I mean, there it is, boys. There it is. The flimsy, crappy PS5 packaging was it was better for the environment. That's it. That's the way. This is the way. Oh my gosh. It's too good. Conspiracy theories. I've never even heard that. They got in trouble for dumping stuff and such or whatever. I've never even heard that. I've never even heard that. Those big unmarked trucks with the mask, man. That's right. Oh man, oh man, oh man. The 8K was biodegradable. 8K on the box. That's the best one. What's the best one? I'm crying, fam. I give blood the benefit of that. PS5 base does have one 8K game. Yeah, it does. I actually, isn't there two? I think there's two games now. A whopping two. Really, really extreme stuff there. You know? Really, really extreme stuff. Yeah, I thought there was a racing game that hit 8K as well. There was an 8K racing game, and then there was it's a really, really weird game that was also 8K. It was like some little, wasn't it like a little goofy game or something? I don't know. Yeah, F1 and then something else. So, all right, guys, I am going to put a link in chat, and this is about Silksong difficulty. They just nerfed stuff today. I've already got a video about this. I don't think the game's too difficult, and I'm going to talk about what the actual problem is, and I don't think nerfing bosses was the solution. So do me a favor. We're going to take a little break on both platforms, and we're going to watch this video together, and then we're going to be in Green Room. So click the link in chat. I'll be over there with you guys, all right? Get over there. Go crazy on the like button. It's a hot topic right now.